Okay. We are on.
Are you getting the press script?
Yeah, I'm calling that.
I just texted.
Bring them on back.
I'm on that.
Who is it?
What's it?
That's
It's
okay.
just-
I think
Just that kind of Chief Martin.
It's Chief Martin, Chief Teresa,
Chief
Teresa.
And Teresa's there too. Yeah, I heard she got the job.
Bro.
I didn't even know she, I didn't know she was so. Is that all?
Mhm.
Oh.
What?
There you go.
There he is.
I'm thinking about it.
Wow, okay. Okay. Everybody got jokes?
One minute.
Susquehanna Township, 200,000.
Who's coming in first?
Susquehanna,
Susquehanna, that's so long.
200,000.
I'm sitting far away from you, because I don't know what's going on here.
No, that was a dental. But I'd still sit far away from it anyway.
It's live stream.
You could be in the other room. You might prefer that. You could give a laugh, but I don't know. Hey, good afternoon. And this year we're live streaming, right? So please, speak clearly and loudly. Mike's over that direction. Also, please identify yourselves and the project you're affiliated with and your request so that everybody's aware of what's being spoken about. You folks have a half hour for your presentation, so I will put the timer on for 25 minutes. And if you hear the deep thinking, we know we need to wrap up because there's folks on your heels. You set the pace in the grand scheme of things for presentations. So whenever you're ready. Oh, one other thing, I know you received some questions. If you could leave in your responses in your presentation, I'd be greatly appreciated.
There is also a clicker in front of you to work the PowerPoint. You want to push the down button.
Down advances the
Look at
slide.
the questions I didn't.
I'm sorry.
Let me see that.
So whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Right,
Before we get started, I want to make sure
the down arrow.
There you go.
I got it. Okay,
You wouldn't think that.
I know. I was thinking the other.
Supposedly there's a pointer in there too, a little red laser that would come out, somehow.
Okay, I'll just go with the down arrow.
Should we introduce ourselves on?
Whenever you're ready, yep.
Hi, I'm Teresa Everly. I'm the Township Manager for Susquehanna Township. With me is
Rob Martin, Director of Public Safety. George Drees, Township Fire Chief.
Nathan Junior, Public Works Director. Hello, everyone. Welcome this afternoon.
Thank you for taking the time to review our gaming grant submission. We appreciate the opportunity to present our projects, which leverage the gaming grant funding to foster a more sustainable community. Susquehanna Township, spanning 17 square miles with 222 lane miles of roads, faces substantial sustainability challenges. A high percentage of non-taxable properties, actually 22%, strain the tax base, while a vast road network contributes to infrastructure needs and demands. Our two volunteer fire companies respond to nearly 2,000 calls annually, underscoring the need for resilient emergency response systems. Managing 145 miles of sanitary sewer and 106 miles of storm sewer is crucial to protect water quality and prevent infrastructure degradation. As a growing community with a strong regional connection, Susquehanna Township recognizes that sustainability is a key factor in ensuring the long-term health, well-being, and prosperity of our residents and the region. We have two projects that were submitted as part of the gaming grant, totaling $200,000, and they're allocated as follows. The Progress Fire Company Station, $150,000 to support the design and engineering phase of a new fire station. This phase has an estimated total cost of $500,000. Public Works Department, $50,000 to contribute towards the construction of a new outdoor storage facility. The total estimated cost of this project is just over $313,000. Sustainability of our community requires a professional, reliable, solidly efficient fire service. To serve our community and maintain our position as first responders for surrounding municipalities, we must replace our 66-year-old fire station. This outdated facility presents challenges in volunteer recruitment, firefighter safety, and operational efficiency. The new station, which will allow us to expand our live-in program by 12 living quarters, leading to an increase in volunteer recruitment and a reduction in response times. By eliminating overcrowded and unsafe conditions, we can improve firefighter safety and conditions and enhance our ability to provide rapid and effective regional emergency response, improving community safety and resilience. Investing in a modern fire station is an investment in our community sustainability. By ensuring the safety and well-being of our firefighters and enhancing our emergency capabilities, we contribute to a safer and more sustainable community for all of us. The estimated cost of the new fire station project is substantial, ranging between $9 and $10 million. The critical design and engineering phase, essential for the successful execution of this project, is estimated at $500,000. This phase is crucial for ensuring the new station meets the evolving needs of the community and the demand of modern firefighting. We are grateful for the $96,000 that we received at last year's grant submission, and we will begin to move forward advancing the planning and design studies for this project. We have broken it down into two areas, prior to land acquisition and after land acquisition. We are currently in discussion with the school district and trying to secure land that would be the home of this fire station. So prior to acquisition, we have the following: land appraisal, preliminary space programming discussions, prepare and issue architect RFP, interview architects and preliminary selection, identify potential design, assist contractors for cost estimating, preliminary traffic trip generation, environmental hazardous material assessment, and developing hazardous material remediation specifications if needed. In addition, we would like to secure a project manager for oversight of this project. Last year, the Board of Commissioners commissioned a comprehensive fire study to conduct an organizational analysis of the fire departments within Susquehanna Township. A key finding of this report emphasized that our fire departments are operating at their maximum capacity within an outdated system that is no longer adequate for the needs of our growing urban community. The study specifically highlighted the critical needs for the replacement of the Progress Fire Station. It strongly recommended that the township prioritize the planning and financing phases necessary for construction of a new modern fire station. In summary, the Progress Fire Station requires the replacement and relocation at an estimated cost of $9 to $10 million. This significant cost presents a financial challenge for the residents of Susquehanna Township. To address this challenge, we are actively pursuing diverse funding strategies, such as the gaming grant, to assist the township in meeting their critical need. The township's extensive infrastructure structure encompasses 225 miles of roads, 146 miles of sanitary sewer, and 106 miles of stormwater.
Can we hold off on this part for a second?
Okay.
For the fire company, I know they're exorbitant price, so I don't question your pricing. But on every one of these, whether it's one of the lower Upper Providence in Montgomery County or Phoenixville Borough, Chester County, they all have the design and engineering component, which is $500,000. Like, isn't there a catalog where you can say, let's look up for a firehouse these days? And just have them make sure that the ground that it's going to be put on is stationary enough? I just feel like the wheel is constantly being recreated, and all of us township people, and I toss myself into the ring, are paying for the same design over and over and over again.
I think it's a good question. I'm gonna have to refer to maybe George.
Yeah, that's an absolutely fair question.
I mean, I'm thinking maybe whatever that group is statewide that oversees or helps assist, maybe they could do something in their next, convention. Because this money's ridiculous, and probably it's the same 5 engineering firms across the state that are doing this, so,
Probably
You know,
even
yeah.
have to stay within the state.
yeah.
Because
Okay,
if there's, I don't know the answer to this, but if it's federal or state monies, do they have to, does the engineering firm or that municipality have to share those? If we put a right to know
oh, I'm
request,
sure it's copyright protected,
so
but I
we
would
just have
like
to
to
ask
think that some
niceties.
state group could somehow do this.
Mhm.
And then if you want to add 12 living quarters, as I think you mentioned, and somebody else wants 6, well, that's interior decorating, that's not the engineering of the building. So, okay,
I think it's a good question to start when we start our conversation with the project manager, to say, how about if we look at some templates that have been used previously, and we can sort of use those to help modify where we need to design ours and reduce costs. That's a great question.
So noted.
okay. I didn't expect an answer today, but just, I'm out of the world now. You guys push that forward. I think you would help the little ones, the little boroughs who can't afford this stuff but need a new building. So, okay, thanks. That was my substand for today.
I'll move on.
That's
a very good question. I'll move on to the Public Works facility. The township's extensive infrastructure, the department plays a crucial role in this endeavor, relying on a fleet of specialized equipment. However, the current lack of adequate storage space exposes valuable equipment, almost to the tune of $2.5 million. It impacts the longevity and operational efficiency. To address this critical issue, the construction of a pole barn emerges as a cost-effective solution. This structure would not only provide essential protection from the elements, but also create a dedicated workspace for the equipment, maintenance, and repair, and enhancing the department's overall operation and capabilities. By investing in this infrastructure improvement, the township can safeguard its valuable assets, optimize equipment performance, and ensure the continued efficient delivery of essential public works services to the residents. The construction of the pole barn is estimated a little over $313,000, and will significantly enhance the longevity by providing protection from the elements and dedicated workspace. We can expect to extend the lifespan of these critical assets 5 to 10 years. The Progress Fire Station project is currently in the pre-land acquisition phase. We are actively collaborating with a consultant who is developing a scope of work to initiate this critical stage. Our goal is to secure the necessary land for the new fire station in the very near future. Following land acquisition, the township will actively pursue diverse funding avenues to support the construction of the facility. We anticipate initiating construction in 2026. The Public Works Department has collaborated with an engineer to finalize the erosion control and construction plans for the outdoor storage facility project. If awarded this grant, we are poised to commence construction in the second quarter of 2025 with an anticipated completion date of December of 2025. Thank you for your time today. We trust the information has provided you with a comprehensive understanding of our gaming grant submission, and we look forward to feedback and the possibility of partnering with you to achieve our sustainability goals.
Who's going to do the public works garage? In-house or out? Even
Outside.
Okay.
Yeah, 350,000 from other stuff that we've seen seems pretty reasonable for that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad, but I know a lot of the big places can do it in-house.
Okay.
It's not, then they're taking them away from something else.
Any questions? So I was looking at your responses. I forget it back up, there we go. Your response to number 2 was pretty elaborate with A through T, right? Excuse me, U. How far down those did you get?
We are in the scope of work stage for A through I. So we hope to have on the agenda next week, a scope of work to start with addressing those items. And part of the, we're still working on the land acquisition, and that's just taken, it's just taken what it's taken. And we aren't there yet, so we can't get to the after acquisition items, but we've decided at this point, we'll go ahead and do what we can for the we know we need to build a fire station. I mean, we know we need to do that. So if there's things we can do that don't really tie us to a particular property, we want to go ahead and get those done. And then once we've secured the land that we hope we're going to get, we'll continue with the after land acquisition, those things that are particular to the land.
Are you 90% certain this land is Susquehanna Township land in the near future?
I'd say 90, would you say 90?
I would.
95?
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Very confident.
Will the fire trucks be able to drive through?
That's gonna be dependent upon how we shape the station.
Okay.
That's the intent, it's
Yeah,
less
that's
wear and
nice.
tear. The property's big enough to do the radiuses.
Is the property big enough for expansion? In 8 years, you want another bay? No, okay.
We're not.
No, I mean, the project is.
That's fine.
We're gonna build it for 20 plus, 30, 50 years.
Okay.
I don't see it expanding
Right.
as we have.
I'm good.
LaJoya?
I don't have any additional questions.
Pretty straightforward.
Well, well done.
So tell the Honorable Mr. Lynch I said hello.
I will. He does speak with you.
I'm sure.
Well, thank you much. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you.
The, one of the applicants, the sole, asked if we would stay or I would stay for their application. I don't know if it's needed, but I'd be happy to stay. They were sponsored their application,
When are they speaking?
2:30.
Their next presentation.
No, sold, here we go again. Okay.
You can, as you said, it's not required, but if they requested you can stay for any of the applications that you are the co-applicant on, as well as all.
We're
of
here till
the public
8:30.
meetings.
You guys know how to have fun. Okay. Well, I'll go out and check with them, and if they really want me to come back, you would be all right if I said it? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very
Public
much.
meeting.
Appreciate it.
We haven't.
Okay. Nice seeing you.
So, take care.
You been all right? Yeah. all
Very
right.
good. Yeah, I'm glad you got this. That's great.
Was it?
I'm taking the point out. I take everything. Thank you. See ya.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to
Yeah.
put it in perspective. One building.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Or somewhere in there.
Projected.
Yeah.
So the last time we would have done that, probably on.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, because I was like,
Wow.
smokes.
Yeah.
Trying to put it in perspective in my mind where all of this goes. Yeah. So I guess we have solar.
Actually, it was both, right?
Oh, it's both.
Is it both?
No.
No, yeah, I think Pembroke is part of the support of that. Or is this one? I was right.
No.
How many townships is that?
Are we doing Pembroke American Legion?
No.
Or no, he's, no, that gentleman's still outside.
Oh, okay. When I heard both, I was thinking both.
Somebody told me it was both towns.
So, all right, thanks for clarifying. I needed something. So I mean, I've had a rough couple days.
I'm sure it's a time of year.
So You folks have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation this afternoon. So I'll set a timer for 12 minutes, right? We're also live streaming. I don't know if you were made aware of that. The mic is towards my left, your right, and probably straight in front of you. But if you can make sure you identify yourself and the request and who you're associated with would be very helpful. I also believe you received a few questions in advance. So if you can weave those into your presentation, it would be greatly appreciated. That being said, the floor is yours.
There is also a remote control right in front of you to work the PowerPoint.
Great.
Thank you, bro. Down advances the slide.
Okay. So my name is Rachel Carey Williams, and I am founder and executive director of Soul, Saving Our Ancestors' Legacy. We took on as our first project, restoring the historic Lincoln Cemetery, which is on the border of Pembroke and Susquehanna Township. And in 2021, I am born and raised in Buffalo, New York. My family and I travel to Harrisburg every month to restore the historic Lincoln Cemetery. There are over 10,000 people buried there.
You travel from where?
Buffalo, New York.
She likes the warm.
Oh, that's a short.
Not today.
Probably still warmer.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's been, hundreds of thousands of miles that we've traversed over the last 3.5+ years. Going, great lengths to build community awareness and understanding around the importance and the significance of Lincoln Cemetery. A lot of people have forgotten that it's even there or didn't know it was there in the first place, even when they have their own ancestors buried there. It is the oldest remaining Black cemetery in Harrisburg. All of the older ones were moved to Lincoln Cemetery in between 1877 and 1892.
For development reasons, I assume?
Yes, because they were downtown.
Makes me shiver. Go ahead.
Yes. So since we started restoring the cemetery, so there you could see at the top left side, that is after our first full day of work at the cemetery. When I arrived there in June, most of the headstones weren't visible. We could maybe see, somewhere between 75 and 100 headstones. We've recovered over 2,000 more since we began and repaired over 500. That's primarily been funded out of pocket by us. And then we, incorporated as a 501c3 and started gathering community donations, recruiting volunteers locally. We now have 5 regular university partners and 10 others that we collaborate with, and significant research, over 25,000 people on Lincoln Cemetery's family tree, and do genealogical research on every one of those connections. Our, biggest, there you can see that's the beginning. So when I first arrived there, I found groundhogs and foxes had dug up graves, and so there were bones that were on the ground, and I had never seen that before. And so it was quite disturbing to me, and I went back home to Buffalo, and I was like, I can't leave the people like that, and there's, nothing else to do. You can't, I think that the police at Susquehanna Township, the investigator, because I called and reported it, I didn't know how old the bones were. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, not assume that I know what they are. And he said that the most he could do was, give someone a fine for not mowing the lawn or not, keeping it up, because that's all there is. So we came back, and we kept coming back, and we come.
So whose obligation is it to cut the lawn and take care of it?
Well, it's something that I've taken on now as the caretaker of Lincoln Cemetery. We work with also Wesley Union Church, and who is the recognized they're the like recognized owner. The actual ownership of Lincoln Cemetery on records is Lincoln Cemetery. So that is something that, you know, we're working on, but it's very complicated because there's a number of Lincoln cemeteries.
So if the township policeman you spoke to could only issue a ticket, he wouldn't know who to issue that ticket to at this
Well, probably would have issued it to Wesley Union Church because that's who
Okay.
people had recognized historically as the owners.
Okay.
But legally, on paper, are not.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
how that works. And that's not uncommon with old cemeteries.
Yeah.
So we are applying for, let me get to, so this happened in February of 2024. And we were very lucky. That's one of the oldest sections of the cemetery. The tree completely fell and was resting on one of those 3 headstones that you see on the left next to the trunk of the tree. It was several tons. And we had no idea really how we were gonna get in there and get it out without damaging headstones. So we had a great local contractor who volunteered to come, and he just got this amazing claw machine that was really narrow that could go in and lift up the whole of the tree. And we looked out. We have,
Not that green thing.
yep. Yep, that green
I'm
thing.
surprised it didn't lift it off its tires.
It was incredible. Really, it was really amazing. I live streamed it on social media because it was so incredible. But he did that completely for free in Lincoln Cemetery. There used to be over 80 trees. It's something that people in the community and the neighborhood have talked to me about over the years, that they really regret that those are gone, because we don't use pesticides or anything like that there, we have hawks, we have, salamanders, newts, all sorts of wildlife use this as a resting spot, sanctuary, and they really miss seeing those. So we only have, I don't even know the exact count because we've lost another tree since I applied that's mostly down, but not all the way down. So all of them are at the end of their life. They're all over 125 years old. So that is why we are trying to make sure that we remove those before they fall on somebody or do more damage to the cemetery.
So around what decade were the most recent burials?
The most recent one was 2018.
Oh, so it's still going on, okay.
It's full. So, and because the woman who was the previous caretaker, she actually passed away right after that burial happened. And the headstone went to William Howard Day, and we have not been able to locate where she was buried. So we can't place her headstone on her grave because the last caretaker passed away and all of her records weren't transferred over. So a lot of contending with not knowing, where people are. We have headstones that are below the surface of the ground, 1 inch to 4 feet at times. And it's a lot of pieces to put together, but we've been up to the challenge. These are all pictures from last winter, and we like telling the stories of the people that are buried there. We have over 150 Civil War veterans that are buried in the cemetery, hundreds of others. I just discovered that the 6888 Postal Battalion that film just came out about, connections to the 6888 that are local. 6 million. They're not buried here. They're in Indian Town Gap, but
that
their
movie was
family.
great.
Yeah, it was really good. Ephraim Slaughter, William Howard Day, which William Howard Day Cemetery and Holmes is named after, is buried at Lincoln Cemetery. Last two Civil War veterans. The bulk of our work and what we've dedicated ourselves to doing when we do restoration weekends is cleaning headstones, repairing broken headstones, finding headstones, and making it look like a cemetery again, bringing people out on Memorial Day. And we had someone come out and play taps, and it was, he's been doing it for decades in Dauphin County, and he wasn't even aware that Lincoln Cemetery was there, and that's what we usually find. Because people didn't see it as a cemetery when they drove by for so long. That's Messiah and Harrisburg University have been creating a digital map of the grounds for the last 3 years so that they can track changes. They do LiDAR and multi-spectral analysis, which shows like different heat zones and cold zones. LiDAR is 3-dimensional. We've had ground penetrating radar done in a section of the cemetery by Kutztown University. So we really tried, since we didn't have resources really, to leverage as much as we could in getting the community involved and creating a space for people to learn, to take part in historical preservation. And we are we're a local historic landmark, we're a state historic landmark, and our application is in for the National Historic Registry as well. And that was done by Stephen Burke at Shippensburg University. We had a grant from Preservation Pennsylvania and PA Hallowed Grounds in 2023 that created a comprehensive cemetery restoration plan, and tree cover, having water, all of those things are absolutely essential to the restoration, but are beyond our means to be able to fund on our own. We have not yet applied for any funding for our regular operations or restoration, and rely on, what we already have from them. Is that time?
Teresa, is Susquehanna a shade tree township?
Yes.
Thanks.
So it looks like you have a fair amount of volunteers, so you give them training with how to clean headstones and things like that, and I'm sure you're probably using a fair amount of Prosecco products or something along that nature, I suppose. And yeah, I agree. Having good, clean water for rinsing and that sort of stuff is paramount, because you need to neutralize a lot of your cleaning agents that you're using so they can go back to a pH neutral. So yeah, I admire what you're doing. You've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, sure do.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
So it sounds like from what I'm reading and what you've done here is you are following a great path forward to make sure that this is sustainable for future generations, right? I mean, because these headstones, probably a lot of them are marble. They're soft. You are documenting what's there so that when those things continue to erode away, something can be replaced in kind and have the actual verbiage that's on there. Because they're not going to last forever, but you're going to get more life out of them than otherwise would have of a lichen or below grade and different stuff. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was no question there. It was just me rambling.
Okay.
Just to be
You're
clear.
loud, I did it.
So, one of the other pieces on our application is fencing, and that really is, there was a fence that was put in, I believe it was in the 1990s, early 1990s, and we want to do repairs to that. the way that the fence is now, people can just, drive into the cemetery, and we've had people drive in and remove things from the cemetery grounds. So that is something that we want to avoid, but we want to allow pedestrians, obviously, to be able to come in and walk through, enjoy the shade, visit ancestors, read headstones, do historical research. So that's really what our goal is with having, the fencing upgraded and repaired. We have, around 40 core volunteers that do either online transcription of burial records, which we digitized all the burial records in 2021. So they transcribe them and add their information to Find a Grave on the website there, and clip obituaries and connect family members on Find a Grave, and then also on Ancestry. And then we have the regular core group that comes out. We do restoration weekends every third Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the month, March through November. And although we missed November in 2024. And
I think I'm gonna have to kind of interrupt here because our timer did go off a little bit ago.
yeah.
I want to look to our members that are sitting here.
Sure, if
If we
you
have
just
some questions.
specify how you would use the local share funds if they were awarded, like in your project, where exactly would you want to apply the funds?
Taking landscape, removing the trees and if we can, or do any repair on any of the trees, we would do that. And replacing the tree canopy that has been lost. So whatever number of those 80 trees that used to be there, we would replace. Add the water line. We have no water. It's absolutely necessary to have water to do cemetery restoration, and then do the fence repairs.
Thank you.
Is there a specific line item for the water line? It's in your budget?
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay.
15.
Thank you. Oh, I can't write. Any other questions?
No, that was good. Good presentation.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
Did we get your name or did I get it?
Oh, I'm Dan Zaleski.
Dan Celeste, okay.
Yeah, I'm with Desert Development. We just came on board with the organization, help with their administrative stuff.
Thanks.
I love stuff like this.
Yeah, that's a few good. She's doing some heavy lifting.
So Pembroke needs HVAC, fire suppression, and American with disability renovations.
Where do you want it?
Hello, right here, right in front of me.
Well, at least they give me somebody pretty to look at.
What was it you're asking for? You're good.
How do you know he wasn't talking about me?
Sorry, I shouldn't have made that assumption.
Oh, my.
Anyway, So we're still in good humor tonight,
Yeah,
so
I heard. Thank
very
you.
lucky.
Thank you for letting me know that.
So, this evening, it's only afternoon, so wishful thinking, This afternoon, you have about 15 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, can I preempt you here? 3 weeks ago, I lost my hearing aids. So the VA replaced them for me. A week later, it was windy and I put my hood up. When I took my hood down, unknowingly, my hearing aid fell out.
Oh.
I can't find it, so I'm a little hard of hearing. So I do read lips, quite good.
But your eyes are still good. I'm still
Oh,
looking
yes,
good, right?
right.
Okay.
We are still looking. We.
Okay.
So, am I loud enough for you?
Yes,
Okay, just want to make sure.
thank you.
So I'll set a timer for about 12 minutes. So if that goes off, we need to wrap things up so that we can get other applicants through the process,
Understood.
right? So we are live streaming this afternoon. So if you can speak loud, clear, mics towards my left, your right. And make sure you identify yourself and the project you represent and your requested amount. And if you receive some questions in advance, I would love for you to weave that into your presentation this afternoon. And that said, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. My name is Robert Pramick. I go by Bob. Just don't spell it backwards or pronounce it backwards. A lot of people do. I represent Post 730 of the American Legion in Pembroke. We fell upon some, you want me to go in my presentation right away, right?
You can, or you can summarize it.
Okay, well, I'll just summarize it. Basically, we came upon some hard times. Our previous board did the best they could for what they knew. Unfortunately, they didn't know much. They mismanaged a lot of things. We had a lot of debt. They never told us. They weren't transparent. And we got closed on March 31st due to financial reasons. We were several months behind on our mortgage. We were behind in every vendor. It was sad. So he, on his own, sold 2 properties without permission, which is against the bylaws. So that put us in deeper. So he is under investigation at this point. But we don't know any outcome at this point as well. So we were closed on March 31st, and we had a soft opening back again June 4th. We needed to be open to make it, but we weren't going to make it. I went to the bank. I gave them a proposal, and they took it, which I was shocked. But we were 5 months behind on our mortgage, so what we did was we put all of the behind months at the end of the mortgage through September. And then in September, we would pay interest only. And then January 1, which we've come across, we go back to P&I, which is just under $7,000 a month. We made it. We didn't have to borrow more money or anything. We were $383,000 in debt to our vendors. We're now $52,000 in debt. We've been working hard. We're not using this grant to pay any bills. We are using this grant to update ourselves because we've been there for over 20-some years and things break. Look at me. So I'm a prime example, but we've been doing fundraisers, all different kind of fundraisers, as I answered in my questions, but I'll gladly address any of the ones you want to know about. We do not have slot machines there for what she put down there. They're the skill games. That's what they are. They're not slot machines. I don't allow that. Everything's legal. We were honored by Fox News. They came out and did an interview on us twice. Unfortunately, I can't bring the interview in here, but it tells a lot about us and our plight. You can go to foxnews.com and look up Pembroke American Legion, and it will come up. They did a Veterans Day story on us, and they did our, behind the scenes. I will leave this with you. I'm popular. I made the Harrisburg Magazine front cover, and they did an awesome story on us, a real awesome story. So if you want me to sign it, it'll cost you $75,000. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I'll leave this behind so you can read the article. I only have one left, so it was quite popular. Sign it, Betsy, you guarantee.
Is that your last one?
Say again?
Is that your last
It
copy?
is, but I'm gonna call Eric, he's the editor, and I'll see if I get more.
Yeah, we can get.
Yeah, they're around, but this was November's issue, they did it only on Veterans Day.
Right.
And it talks about, our plight and how we made it through it. A lot of good members, and we're getting more and more back. A lot of them left us, as I probably would have too, except I can't say no. And I was looking the wrong direction. But it's a great bunch of people that do not want us to leave. In the past 3 years, we have a veteran service officer that helps veterans get benefits that they're entitled to. Unfortunately, our guy wasn't the guy to have in that position. We now have a guy, he's already seen 6 veterans and helped them get their benefits. So we're going back to where we should be and where we are. And it's all because it's not me, it's the whole board, it's all the members. And we just had what I call it, the state of the post meeting. We made it 6 months since we reopened. And I'm proud of that fact. And we're gonna make it the next 6 months. But we do need help. Yeah, God bless us. There are several things that we need to address. The one is the air conditioning over the bar. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. We want to make our doors handicap. We press the button and the doors open automatically. We want to get that installed. We have 2 bathrooms for each, male and female, and they're in need of they have the bars for the toilets and the raised toilets, but they need other things to make them handicap accessible. And that's another major project we want to take on to make it, because, our veterans are getting up there, that belong. Our biggest plight is we need to get younger members back. They think it's a bunch of old men sitting around telling war stories. That's not what we're about. It really isn't. We help the community. We sponsor the Boy Scouts, which is a dying breed right now because of COVID. And they're actually like merging a lot of different packs together, troops together. But we still sponsor them. Team baseball. There's a thing that the township does, one family night, I think it's called. I may have that wrong, but we once participated that last year, and unfortunately, because the weather was bad and canceled it.
Oh, and National Night Out.
Thank you. There you go. I knew she'd help. She has that look. She's gonna help. So.
He's knowledgeable.
Yeah, she is. So, those are just some of the things we do in the community. We do many, many things to help, people. If they come to us, even though we're broke, we'll help them any way we can. It might not be money, but it'll be, we'll come and help them do something, clean something up or whatever. Yes, sir.
Do you have any proposals or quotes for some of the work that you've
Okay,
done?
let's go backwards here a little bit. I got this thrown on me. We do things by committee, and we do things by the board. I run through everything through the board, and we get their approval. We didn't know about this grant until 2 days after it was late to submit.
Oh.
And I got on my hands and knees and begged and begged and begged, and they gave me 2 hours to get the application filled out. And we did, and we got it done, and we put my presentation on, and Susquehanna Township agreed to co-sign with us, which we were grateful. So then Ken is my adjutant, he's my secretary, I go to him for everything. He's the parliamentarian, he's a historian, he's everything. So he was the likely guy to put in charge of this mission, which he was doing a fine job, and for the past several weeks I said, are we ready? Are we ready? I'll have it ready for us, don't worry about it. His mother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So,
Take your time.
can we strike that last? I didn't want that out in the public.
No, this is live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He emailed me on Friday, said, I can't do it, I need help. How can I get quotes on a Saturday and Sunday? I
Sure.
can't. I called Brooke, explained the situation. She was a little lenient on me and said, I'll give you a couple more days to get the quotes. The problem of it is we have so many projects, and we don't know how much, if and when we get the grant, how much we're gonna have to spend. And then we'll prioritize it as to what's more important, and then we'll get the budgets. We do have some quotes for some things, but very little. I mean, the computer system upgrade, that's important, but it's low on the list. I have a proposal for that, of course, but the ADA, things like that. We have what's called a fob. It's a little tiny circle, and you press it on the door, and it opens the door, but it doesn't manually open the door. So that's what we need to add. And we have a different door that we can use that is ADA, but it doesn't open on its own without that button. So that is our situation with that. I mean, we appreciate everything you can do for us. I know it didn't happen the way we wanted it to happen. The presentation would have been a lot better, but that's what happens when you wait.
So
I keep thinking.
I think you
ignoring
have a
because you're
little
way
bit more
over.
time, right? That
I
is your-
apologize.
I believe you have a little more time that you can get together some quotes. And whatever you have,
I apologize.
whatever you do have,
Yes,
you know, start assembling that in a prioritized type of list. And then, so when you get your other ones, you can rank them and put them in there. But if we were to put an end date on that, Latoya, what would be the end date of receiving sort of an updated quote?
So what are we,
14th?
I mean, we meet.
I would say
February.
mid-February.
in February.
So, yeah,
Valentine's Day.
I would, yeah,
Oh, that's the day of my
Right.
wife.
Friday,
It is, I
February
never worked
14th.
with that.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
And I think the chairman already mentioned, but just to stress, if you could highlight, the priorities, what's the greatest need, or, this would help us to continue to, serve the community or meet our mission, or, I think it's understood that it's all important.
Oh, of course.
But
But I understand prioritizing too. What's going to benefit the veterans the most? That's how we prioritize.
And that's a relatively new building, right?
I apologize.
That's a relatively new building, right?
Oh, no.
it seems like it, but time
Yeah.
flies.
Yeah, it's over 20 years. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to ask you.
In your world,
And that reminded me of something on our soft opening, which they didn't know what a soft opening was. They said, well, we're gonna open for one day and see how it works. That's a soft opening. And if we do well, we'll extend it. Well, we went from being open on, that was a Saturday. We had over 700 people show up and we made a lot of money. And it helped us tremendously keep well, when I took over, the water was off, the gas was off, and they were about ready to turn the electric off. I called them on a Friday, they were scheduled to shut us down on Monday. We called it, I don't know if you understand the Legion, that its complexities in the different families. You have the main Legion, which is called the Post. And then you have families that are in the Post. You have the auxiliary members. There are people that their relatives were in the military, but they weren't. So they can join the auxiliary, and they do a lot of work for us. So we went to them, and the other one is the Sons. That's also the same thing. You have to be a male and make rules. And basically, if your family was in the military, then you could join the Sons. And we have a lot of those members as well. And then we have the Riders. They're the guys that see out there with motorcycles promoting the Legion. They're all volunteers. They don't get paid. None of us get paid.
What sort of documentation does a son need to show proof that they're?
Just like proof that your family member's in the military. DD 214, letter, something that showed that they were in the military. We had a person go out to it happened. They went out to the Indiantown Gap Cemetery, took a picture of the miners, and that got her in. So,
Wow.
so what we did was, because we were so far behind in everything, I'm a good navigator when it comes to negotiating things. And I talked to the electric company, they let us pay $500 extra per month, we got caught up, and we saved electric from being cut off. But it was because of the families, the Sons, the auxiliary, and the Riders, they gave us money out of their own account, because they have their own things they have to do, my dad. Last thing is, I'm gonna leave this letter, this is a letter from Daily Funeral, right down the street from us, supporting us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Oh. Don't get too excited, Lance, you can have this. Yeah. But they did do a nice write-up on us, Eric, from Harrisburg Magazine. He interviewed us for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And he did an interview of one of our veterans that has used the VA for benefits.
Wait a minute, it's not signed.
Right here.
Oh, why not? Now, you're gonna keep it in your office, right?
Absolutely. Whatever you want me to do, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you can personalize it.
To
Where do
George.
you want me to sign it? Like on my arm?
Sign it to the chairman, David Craig.
Oh, George, thank you. We should go to his way.
CRM.
CRAG.
Did you read it?
AIG.
First one, the autograph. It makes it worth a lot more money.
Did you write one of one?
But this grant would do a lot of good for the community, not just for the Legion, but for the community involved. We support our township in every way we can. We even were crazy enough to have a chicken barbecue too, in fact, beside Kentucky Fried Chicken. And we outperformed them.
So, yeah, so if you could definitely hit that date, get some stuff out there, you know, if you can better that date, that's even
Yeah,
more efficient for us at this end. And I want to thank you for what you do and your services.
thank you for this entertainment.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
sorry, I kept looking this way, you're way down there.
Well, I guess I should ask, are there any further
Sure,
questions?
so for the HVAC, repairs, fire suppression, that work has not been done and still needs to be done?
Oh, thank you for saying that. No, it hasn't.
Okay,
The.
just wanted to clarify.
I started into it, I didn't finish it. We started that soft opening. The day before the soft opening, our glycol machine broke down. What a glycol machine is, it keeps the beer lines cold. So our beer was warm. They worked on that effortlessly. I mean, they put everything they could to make that work. So we went into plan B, and we went to canned beers and bottled beers, but we made it work. We always have a plan B. I never want to get to a plan C, but we have one in the background. But we've already paid for that. It was over $6,000. Could that already be included in the grant?
If you have documentation
Oh, yeah,
of
receipts.
proof that, you know, what it cost and that the
It's just under
paid the
$7,000,
cost, yeah.
$607,000.
That depends upon your priority, whether you want it in there. But it's good to show that you paid it, and that shows leverage. So
Okay.
either which way, it should be documented.
Okay.
February 11th. February 11th.
14th. I don't even know what day of the week that is.
And
Friday.
he's left-handed,
Friday?
so am I. You're in your right mind.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all
Additional
for
other
having us
questions?
and entertaining us, and I'm sorry about not having everything done, but.
No, it's fine. No problem.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
yours. Everyone's gonna take that. All right, all done? No
We're
questions?
good.
We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, have a wonderful day.
Okay.
So, I won't be around. Thank you. Okay, got it. Sounds good. Yeah.
You should have got here. You should have done.
Greetings.
You want a spot here? Wait for the chairman, let's get started. Get started, you want to wait for Dick?
We can kick it off. The chairman just stepped out for a second, but I think we've seen this project before, and I've seen you
So,
before here as
yep,
well, so.
yeah,
So welcome
Thank you.
back, and I think you sort of know the drill
Yep.
from previous years, though. The one thing just to note is this is being live streamed.
Okay.
Just so that you're aware of that.
Okay.
And with that, start your presentation.
I do have-
a 30-minute
yeah.
slot here, though.
I think it's gonna take, hopefully it'll take that long,
Expect
so. So thanks to the board for hearing us and the opportunity to present. So we're Lower Township, you know, basically, what our project is just debt repayment, from the DCIB loans that we've taken out in the past. That's what we've asked for the past couple of years. And so that's what we're coming to the gaming commission again with that as well. So yeah, just a little bit about the township there. That's probably know all the different functions that the township does. these were our prior year awards from the board. And then our grant request this year, again, this year we're just, so our amount was kind of over the amount that, what that limit is. So we're asking just for the principal, not the interest part of it, since we recognized it was over that amount anyway. So part of it's our, repaying the 2017 DCIB loan, which was, most of that's done. There is a project that's still ongoing. Fuller's Elbow Culvert is still ongoing. It should be completed this spring. Restoration of the creek, that's complete. And then our 2023 loan that we took out, that's going to be in full force this spring and summer with some of those projects. Again, this, just repaying that debt service, that would be paid by taxpayer money either way, in that way. The amortization schedules that we have for all three loans. We are sponsoring 4 other entities, the fire department, which would be our first, that's our priority, the fire department, and the Lions Club off street, and then Tim here would be the other one. And I did have your board questions that you guys did ask us. I can address those individually, or I don't know if you've seen those or how you want me to kind of.
You can go down through each
Go through
one.
them. That'd be great. And just, I have it here so I can see a little bit better. Yeah, so the questions were, did the township make the 2024 interest, principal, and payments on the DCI? Yes, we did that. Those payments were made through our stormwater fund. Other funding sources, it would just be taxpayer money that we would use to pay for those projects. Again, all projects are moving forward to 25, and hopefully they're all being completed in this year. Talked about the goals of the township. One of the goals of the township is to make sure, number one, that the goals and objectives is that we have, we have safe water for our residents, and a lot of construction stuff going on. So we want to make sure that all of our infrastructure is kind of in place and in good quality. So that's what a lot of this is replacing some pretty old infrastructure that's falling apart. And for instance, there's one on Riverside or Lakeside Drive where the water actually just kind of sits in the winter, or it just sits there when it rains a lot. And we've had a lot of problems with freezing and just puddles and stuff. And so fixing that road will help to kind of alleviate some of the residents' problems there. And then again, and also some of, the stream restoration as well. It's going to help to protect the residents. It's going to help to protect, flooding on roads and stuff. So that's part of that. And then, just kind of the same thing with the comprehensive plan. They talked about in the county comprehensive plan, they talked about the storm, again, it talks about stormwater. And again, we're wanting to make sure this, I think we're on the same page as the county. We want to make sure our residents have safe water, are safe when they're in the streets and things like that. And, trying to prevent as much hazard from water and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we're kind of falling in with that comprehensive plan as well. So those are the 5 questions you guys have for us. I don't know if there's any other questions. I think that's all I have too, so.
What is Tim Hero? I know that's not part of this.
No, so they were, I guess they're a group that goes out and they're kind of helping with, emergency responders and making sure their lights are brighter. So I guess it's kind of helping with that. They've done all these presentations all around the state just to make sure that they're helping the emergency responders so nobody gets hit and killed while they're out on the side of the road.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
So when I look at your cover page of your application, right?
Yep.
It's saying it's the loan principal.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that part so we're asking just for, because we asked for over the amount of the limit you guys give us, we just put the principal on there.
And so you're making the payment on the interest?
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah, we just wanted we didn't want to, since we were already going over and we realized that I don't want to put the whole amount down there. So we just said, hey, we'll just go for the principal of it.
Kind of a different question here. So going through the infrastructure bank for these loans, how has this affected the township, with being able to move, such large projects? Or would you have been able to do that without such a program?
No, I mean, probably not. I mean, I think we would have probably had to, I mean, we are in the process, we did raise our stormwater fee. Maybe it probably would have been higher from what it is now, but I think that project, the infrastructure bank was very helpful in making sure that we could do these projects on with a lower interest rate and stuff like that. I think it was pivotal on us being able to move forward with some of these projects, so.
And if you're not able to get full funding through this of your ask, are you guys prepared to be able to make those full?
We are. I mean,
budget-wise?
Yeah, I mean, we've made, at least for, the new loan that we took out in 23, we paid the interest and principal already on that. And like I said, and we did just raise our stormwater fee as well, so that will help as well to offset anything that doesn't come in from the gaming board. So we are prepared to pay for that, for sure.
Any other questions?
No.
Which way?
No other questions, thanks.
Well done.
Thanks for your time, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it.
And the last name was McComb, MCC, LAIL.
Like John.
It's not right with this presentation. She looks different, very different. From 3 years ago. So Swatara Township's coming in and in their park improvement, they're including cricket.
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 Is that gonna supplant pickleball?
I don't know.
They making a run on it?
Because sometimes I'll take my dog up to Cole Park, there's a dog there, and there's often a sport being played that I'm thinking is cricket. They use a bat or a paddle or something.
Yeah, like flat.
Yeah, okay, then it's
Bat.
cricket gets played there a lot, yeah. I just thought that looked pretty cool.
Hard to forget.
I've always seen that played, oddly enough, indoor. Like my daughter
Really?
playing field hockey, like indoor field hockey. That was over towards Philly, and I'm trying to think of that sports complex. But they had a little turf area set aside, and it was really wild to watch.
Yeah, I would like to know how it works.
Yeah, that bridge that goes over the railroad tracks above Troves, just read in the paper, it's extended another year?
Yes.
That just stinks.
Yeah, like 26. Yeah,
Sounds like they're blaming the railroad guys for not being able to
yeah, that's what,
be on site when they're.
I've heard that there's a lot of coordination that's required to occur that's making it, they're only working sometimes a couple hours a day. Like it's not like this thing should have been done after a very short period of time, but it can't be. I mean, they can't just crank it out. Yeah, it's definitely causing, I mean, doesn't,
Yeah, I
I
didn't
don't see
know
much disruption, but it's definitely a.
what sort of knowledge, inside knowledge you might have, because I'm thinking about, this older sailors memorial bridge that goes out the back of the Capitol, goes across that big yard there, and then when they're gonna start working on that, and if you're gonna extend, your general conditions for the contract, because you can't get coordination or done, yeah, that's gotta be, who does that fall on? Is it contractor expected to have that kind of funds? That's gotta be.
Yeah, now you look at that, I don't know if that's a township road, that section, or if that's a state road. And then, there's always the question on those, who owns those bridges. That always seems to be kind of, if they were constructed decades and decades ago.
It was that one in Harrisburg is very popular.
Yeah,
TGS owns a portion, the city owns another portion. County.
You may not remember, but in Warrington, they have that issue, that the town is kind of separated by the railroad into two sections, and there's only the one railroad bridge that's immediate in the town that connects it. If not, you're going kind of around out over the creek and into Middletown, and back over the creek and down 230, you get to the other side. And that stood like that for years and years, because there was kind of, no, it's yours. And then they finally, they figured it out, but it was, so I just know anecdotally, those are always complicated.
Whatever township, have a seat right here.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon. So, you have approximately 30 minutes for your presentation this afternoon.
That sounds great.
I'll end up setting a timer for 25 minutes, so if we hear the bell go off for that, then we need to wrap things up for the folks coming in behind you.
Okay.
We are live streaming, so please identify yourself, as well as the project you're affiliated in your request, as well as for us, if you could weave in your presentation the questions that were presented to you in advance, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So I am John Cherry with Dauphin Engineering, Swatara Township's municipal engineer. And I am here to present on the Ivy Ridge Park Development Project. This project is located off of Orchard Drive as well as Harrisburg Street. Oops, and I believe actually Commissioner Connolly is actually here joining us as well. Or Commissioner Steele.
Hello.
How is everyone? So, and this is Commissioner Shane Steele with Swatara Township as well. So we haven't really started as of yet, we're just really taking things off.
And down advances the slide.
So the Swatara Township's Ivy Ridge Park project is a $228,000 public recreation project. Again, it is located along Orchard Drive near the intersections of 441 and Harrisburg Street in Swatara Township. Today's ask is, and we're here to present for a local share gaming grant in the amount of $218,000 to renovate and expand upon the amenities at Ivy Ridge Park. The expected outcomes here with this project, with the completion of this project, is to increase the recreational opportunities for low to moderate income communities, as well as the greater Harrisburg and Swatara region. The project is located in close proximity to Steel and High Spire area. So taking full advantage of the regional community for this project. This project also integrates well with other regional projects within Swatara Township. I know Bishop Park is something that has been, and that the township has received a gaming grant, a couple gaming grants before in the past on. That those projects, that the Bishop Park, which we can talk about more on, is going to be expected to be going out to bid this year, first quarter of 2024. The project for completion for phase 1 completed in September of 2024. There's other projects, regional projects there with the Greenbelt as well. Ties right into it, ties nicely into the Greenbelt project, the expansion that's going to be going on there with walking trails, biking trails, and things like that, tying into from Ivy Ridge into this project. This also improves the community health and well-being with increased outdoor recreational activities. We've seen with COVID the need for outdoor space, and this further emphasizes the township's commitment to increasing those recreational spaces for residents in the township as well as the region. Promotes economic development activities through the hosting of tournaments and the other amenities there, as well as provides safe and age-friendly spaces for children of all ages. So the need for this asset, again, the COVID pandemic has really exposed gaps within the recreational resources across the region. Noticed in the Dauphin County comprehensive plan, as well as the Swatara Township recreational plan that was published within the past 5 to 6 years, the need for increased recreational activities that you really can't get enough of recreational amenities within Dauphin County as well as within Swatara Township. And these resources, again, are limited within the region as well. Again, it also does serve the low to moderate income populations as well, with Steel just located to the south of the project. Again, it builds upon the significant investment in action within the region, the Eisenhower Boulevard connectivity and safety improvements that are occurring within Swatara Township, Highland Street connectivity and safety improvements as well, Dewey Street and Bishop Park, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, as well as the Greenbelt connectivity initiatives as well. This project does feature a number of amenities that are going to be installed, including pavilions, soccer fields, a mountain bike trail, multi-purpose trail, swing sets, playground equipment, concession stands, event stages, volleyball, as well as cricket pitches. That's been a new sport that really has come into the region as kind of a growing sport outside of pickleball. Cricket pitch is something that the township has seen a steady demand for those types of, for that amenity.
How much space does that take, do you know?
Not very
Big as
much.
this room?
Yeah, there's plenty of that. I'm not familiar with the full.
The cricket pitches are normally the same size as a tennis court. So
Okay.
within your regulation tennis court, you normally have 2 courts. So that's 2 pickles.
2 pitches.
You have 2 pitches right there.
And I believe the cricket pitches are just, there's just mats, and then there's like a mat in between the 2 ends that you can that is easily can be mowed over, so it doesn't. So while it's a cricket pitch, but also can be
That
There
dual
could be-
purpose.
Yeah, dual purpose type of sporting events, because I believe there's a baseball field there that could be, utilized. So not really fully partitioning off solely just for the cricket pitches, but it can be used for the other sporting
I think
events
it's
that we
great,
want
yeah.
there. So this grant request, this project achieves a number of, addresses a number of criteria that are within the application. It does serve the interest of public activities. Again, for recreation, athletic opportunities, it's consistent with the Dauphin County as well as the Swatara Regional Comprehensive Plan and Recreational Improvements Plan. Consistent with local ordinances, conserves open space. It's a huge open space park that sits on the top of a hill that it just has great views within the township as a whole that you can see from the picture provided. Does serve a significant LMI population area within Swatara Township, again with Steelman as well. There is a huge growing need for recreational resources within just the greater region. Does have a good bit of public support because of the number of unique features, again with the cricket pitches, something that is not, I believe only one or two other public parks here within the Harrisburg metro region do feature the cricket pitch. And then just does well serve within, the time, the project completion is very timely, as well as the cost estimate, which I can pull up on the next page. My apologies for being the cost estimate being kind of small on from a visual end, but again, you see a total budget of $228,000 with this grant ask of being $218,000. I know that's generally higher than what within the LSA or the gaming grant as seen in the past, but because of this, this need, this continuing to serve and provide recreational activities, I think this kind of warrants a greater ask. The township does have a list of public parks and facilities that are kind of an unofficial master list to be completed and that they are working through. Bishop Park is one of them, again, that I mentioned. That project's going to be beginning, concurring through September of 2024 with phase 2 kicking off shortly thereafter for Bishop Park. But other municipal parks that the township's going to be upgrading here within the next 2 to 3 years as an overall.
How was that park being funded? Because you alluded to that there was grant money provided towards Bishop Park previously.
Yeah, so Bishop Park is funded by multiple organizations statewide. It's funded by DCNR through their Conservation Partnership Program that received $800,000. There is 2 grants provided by Dauphin County Gaming Grants that is funding the project as well. The remaining funding for that project is provided by Swatara Township.
How much is Swatara putting in on this?
Over $1 million. It's 1.1 and 1.2 million
Is
for
that
phase
from,
1.
That's just phase 1.
That's phase
Is
1.
that money that's set aside from like land development? Do developers have to put money in a kitty for recreation and?
Phase 1 is going to be, I believe, funded by the township's municipal bonds. Yeah. And that money, everything, that funding is committed and handed, ready to go.
The recreation fee in lieu of that you're speaking about, we try to tend to keep them more towards the community where that development was developed, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, but I mean, that has to go to new and not maintenance, right? So there's very few new things that you generally do unless you're replacing equipment or something like that, I guess.
Well, and
Is
that's,
that considered maintenance? I don't know. This seems like a major overhaul in the grand scheme of things, which though I'm no lawyer, would constitute new.
for us, at certain locations, there is some overhaul because our parks are outdated. And it's no secret, some of our parks do not meet ADA specificity just due to the fact of how old they are. I'd like to talk more towards a regionalization of our park system because we want to over inundate you with information. But when you look at our park system, it's not structured to connect to our developments and connect to other municipalities as well. When you look at where this sits at the end, and he speaks about the green belt, so that is the beginning of Harrisburg, Sweater Township. When you slide over to the, I guess it would be the northeast, now you're connecting to Bishop Park that you're talking about, and then you'll wrap back around the backside of Chambers Hill as you start to go east towards Hershey. And as you go east towards Hershey, now you're talking about a project that was proposed some time ago, 15 years ago, to Field of Dreams. And then from there, you have the Chambers Point community where another park will connect there. This is all through walking past, starting the whole way at Ivy Ridge. And then you're talking behind the Chambers Hill community, and then you have Clown Park that still needs to be upgraded as well. And then as you go a little bit further down, now you're talking to the Hershey area where you go past the Hosses. Everybody's familiar with the Hosses, and then that's where we have our McNaughton Park. And our plan is to be
Wawa.
well. Everybody likes the Wawa. You know, so when you start to think about this regionalization, not just a shared of assets, but a shared of park and shared of green space. So then we're looking, okay, we have Hummelstown to our east, and then about to your, I guess that would be considered almost like your northeast. Then we're getting into the Hanovers, and then the connections will just continue to grow. That's our ultimate plan under this current administration. So this is vital, Ivy Ridge, to that plan. And it's been a park that was built, set aside, correct me if I'm wrong, I think about approximately 16 acres. Real parking constraints, no real ADA, no more handicap accessible, even to get out onto the field. So we got a lot of changes we have to make. So I understand your position where it's going to be an upgrade plus new, but majority of it's going to be more new than upgrade, because currently all we have right there is that play set. And it's underutilized because there's not much there to do. If I wanted to get a child that was in a wheelchair, I'd have to come out and around and then roll them the whole way through. And that presents a problem for us. So there's a lot of work to do there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's,
John, did you want Brooke to go back?
Yeah. sorry,
You can,
yeah, I clicked too far.
to what's,
one
I'm
more.
sorry. What slide did you want?
There we go. So this kind of is just a broad overview map of Ivy Ridge Park. The light red box is the park itself. The yellow orangish lines is the Capitol Greenbelt. And I think to emphasize Commissioner Steele's point, the township is doing a great job of tying in to the Greenbelt and other walking trails to kind of provide that regional approach to the recreational amenities. It's just not, just provides another option for residents in the township as well as residents that utilize the Greenbelt to be able to access their Ivy Ridge Park in particular on this that we're talking about here, but also with Bishop Park as they're tying back into Highland Street with creation of sidewalks to tie into Bishop Park. And Bishop Park, I believe, has the option in paths itself to be able to tie into the Greenbelt. So they're really trying to create this just very intricate, interconnected system of recreation for the residents. The proposed timeline that kind of outlined is a very kind of shortened kind of timeline. The work itself is going to be performed with local workforce so that the township can utilize their available workforce to implement this project. There's going to be some kind of minor earthworks movements with parking and with the band shell, with the stage and with concession stands, and then any utility hookups. But this kind of lightens itself to a kind of a shortened 6-month timeline to be able to get the project underway, contracted, with equipment being ordered to installation.
Are permits simply those issued by the township?
I
I
believe
don't
so.
see anything outside of that. Based upon what we do, it may need to go before the planning commission or, some things might be administrative from the zoning board. Yeah, from the zoning director itself. Some may just be administrative in nature.
Okay.
But
You don't
we'll
need
see
to
how
go to
far
the
we
county
dig
or
in,
state.
yeah, how far we gotta go before the planning commission for certain permits or things of that nature.
And to emphasize your point is that, what the township really is looking just to solely, between the grant request ask and any township funds to utilize towards the project, where there's no real weight on other funding agencies, such as the state, which has a 6 to 12 month
Sure.
review point to make an application decision. So it can be implemented rather quickly in that regard.
One thought I had, you're asking, I think, for 218, which you labeled as 100% of the cost, but you're using in-house talent to do it.
Yeah.
So if you could cost that, then the township is putting up money.
Yes, yeah, there's,
Okay.
there's another budget sheet that I kind of provided to Brooke that does kind of break it down, that the township is contributing kind of local funds through the bonds to be able, or, just local funds in general
And
towards the
also
project.
salary and labor.
As well as salary,
So you may
labor,
want to
and in-kind
put that in writing.
contributions.
Because maybe then the project comes to 248, you're asking for 218 or whatever.
And as I see it too, to go a little further, you're saying you're putting $1 million towards other park projects. It's the township, right? I mean, the park, whether they're lumped together or separate, you're still responsible for all the parks, right?
Sure.
So that goes even further, I think, to the point that she's making, that you're leveraging even further.
You've skin in the game here.
But
Yeah, we do. I mean, just between the two parks, we're probably looking at roughly $4.5 million invested.
Right.
And Bishop Park Phase 1, as John spoke to, will begin this year, and that does have some county funding to it. Our hard deadline is September. Right after, we're right into Phase 2. And we do understand that, the township has changed administrations twice since the beginning of that project. But we made a very aggressive push in a short amount of time under new administration to really push Bishop Park forward.
That may be a good addendum to this application.
Yeah, just further emphasize on Commissioner Steele's point, the township is very aggressive with the administration to get these park projects, get the existing park projects that have received grant funding, have received funding commitments from the state or county underway, but also identify new projects that they want to, pursue with just overarching park upgrades within the township. They want to identify those and begin to work on that list as well.
any other questions?
Yeah, it was sort of similar to what you've already asked, but just so I'm clear, for the subject project at Ivy Park, are there any other improvements that the township is making? Like, is this part of a larger project at that park?
No, everything just is within this grant ask. There's nothing else that's being achieved outside of the grant ask. Again, it's between benches, pavilion, soccer field, mountain bike, multi-purpose trail, swing sets, playground equipment, concession stands, event stage, volleyball, cricket pitches, as well as parking.
So then to the chairman's point, if this is part of a comprehensive recreation improvement project, it would be helpful to provide that information of these are all the improvements that we're currently doing through our park system, what it costs and how we're funding it, kind of thing. So the board can see, that this is a larger project that has a lot of leverage. We are of course aware of the Bishop Park one, which had a huge, grant from the state, so that shows a lot of leverage. But if it's part of an overall, recreational improvement project, that would be helpful to see that information.
Sure.
And then the only other question I had was to the jobs point, even if you're using township workforce, are there numbers associated with that? Do you have a general idea of, is it going to preserve 5 positions, 10 positions, or?
I think we're still looking at that. We do, it's still preliminary stage. We do know that Bishop Park coming in, so our departments are separated. I didn't want to give you a long answer, give you a short answer, but I'll still give you a long answer. So our departments are separated where you have Public Works and then you have Parks and Recs. So we are under understanding, we build out Bishop Park, we build out Ivy Ridge. You know, it's not just one mower, one person mowing 16 acres or 30 acres. So there is going to be some job creation there. We're unsure what that number looks like just because we haven't budgeted that yet, but we do understand coming into 26 with Bishop Park coming online, Ivy Ridge, it's probably going to be more than one. I could say that without a doubt.
We can work.
We can look into that a little bit deeper, but that's not something.
So next year you might ask for a new mower. Not teasing.
I could, something much bigger. We will continue to come back to the board and have asks, but, you know, we're not here, and I'm the chair of finance for Sweater Township. So I'm very prudent when I look at projects where we're just not going to come in and say, okay, now I want to do Oberlin Park, which is right down the street from Bishop Park and down the street from Ivy Ridge. Now, we do know we have some upgrades to do at Oberlin Park, very minimal, right? But we're trying to focus more towards our larger recreational areas, you know, and then while we can come back and upgrade those parks for minimal cost that the township can feasibly pay for, you know, in the interim, the bigger parks are open and then the smarter parks have some issues as well, ADA compliance, because I think all the same playground equipment has been at that parks, and I'm 43 since I was a kid. So, you know, that's some of the issues that we're facing. But there will be job growth, it will be job creation. And then, you know, one thing Sweater Township has not looked at also is for tourism. There's another phase to second phase to Bishop Park will include somewhat of a minor water park, which is splash pads and things of that nature. In Dauphin County, when you look at Sweater Township is like the largest hub when it comes to hotels, right? But we're an offshoot from everywhere, whether it be Hershey, whether it be the city of Harrisburg. The redevelopment that's also going on at the Harrisburg Mall, this plays into the bigger picture of that, because we just put 2 hotels online. The second one is due to come online in a month or so. So again, that plays in part by this park. And when you asked about the fees in lieu of, with meeting with developers, some of the things that we look at is, if you're going to build out a land development plan of 20 acres or 15 acres, you know, once we start getting land development, there is a fee in lieu of. We're not trying to build out a whole bunch of new parks because it doesn't work. We see that now. But if we have central parks and then small pocket parks at certain locations, we see that benefits our residents and other communities better. And then the connectivity is just a whole nother level, because Sweater Township looks at it as, at some point, coming from Harrisburg to the Hanovers, you should be able to ride a bike, walk, or run the whole entire way, if that all makes sense. I know it's a big ask, but we're not going to keep coming back and just asking for projects just to ask one.
So it sounds like you guys are pretty forward thinking, have a plan for the parks and that sort of stuff. Have you continued that thought process? All right, we get to the end, how do we maintain these things? Is that part of your thought process as well, or?
So as far as maintaining the parks themselves, yes, and that comes into you know, the increased staff. Right now, we did have a little bit of attrition on the public works side. That's why I explained the highway side a little bit. We have flipped a few of our employees over to the stormwater, and the next big hire is obviously public works, which would be parks and rec side of that. We're not looking at the highway department. We're looking more geared towards parks and recs. And then after these projects are done, we'll begin our highway build out of our streets and our roads. We got the major project at 322. So then in about 27, the end of 27, the beginning of 28, we'll start hiring for just our highway guys. So, you know, there is an internal plan that's being worked out, and it's all part of our capital improvement project plan. So a lot of what I'm speaking is preliminary for us. We just updated our capital improvements plan last year, and we just did one for stormwater, and then we also did one for sewer. We're working on that now. So it's a process. We are in, if you're familiar with the terms merger and acquisitions, the legal way that we can do it within it. We're working of our government with our stormwater, our township, and public works. Wherever we can benefit to merge our resources and save the community money, that's what we're doing our taxpayers right now. So that's what you see, and this is part of our larger plan just on the park side.
Any other questions?
No, thanks. Thank you both.
Thank you much.
Thank you. and I think you did do it. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Feel better? Definitely. Definitely better. That was, one of I went to the dentist. Took a little while to get rid of that pain. It did. Went in big. Dark room. Did you bring the letter charging it, but I think you had it first? I would love to borrow the UBC.
Don't. I got the battery. Take it out, put it back in. That was a mistake. I just have this, which is, for my service. What are you looking for your phone?
Or for the. iPad.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Yeah, I took it
I'll
out.
fly this out right now.
So,
Is it the same as a phone charger?
Is it the oval one?
it's the
It's the oval one, it is.
This one?
It is a USB-C.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a
No.
Lightning.
Yeah, I grabbed the wrong one, I have that one in the car and I was like.
Yeah. I have one in the car, Dave, so I can grab it out of my car then. You need it now? Are you about to die?
No, I'd be good till, I figured I'd plug it in over dinner.
Yeah, I'll grab it then.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
This is community, yeah, that's good.
Who do we have?
Who needs community?
Super, thank you. Appreciate you being punctual. Actually early, right?
I'm Missouri, yes.
Yeah. Plus one. So you guys have approximately 15 minutes for your proposal this afternoon. I'll set a timer for 12 minutes, so we know if that goes off. We need to wrap things up for the next people that are coming in behind you. We are live streaming. Please, enunciate, speak loudly. The mic's over here to the left, almost in front of you, I believe. And I'm not sure if I said identify yourselves and the project that you're with.
Sure. My name is Dave Misra. I am the executive director of the organization that is making this proposal, Putney's Community in Harrisburg, BCH.
I'm Leela Adhikari, one of the board of directors from BCH.
Welcome.
Thank you. So thank you for this opportunity to present this idea that we're proposing here today. The project that we're proposing involves, we're proposing BCH Community Center in more general terms. And this proposal has two components. One is establishing a community center that houses, that will hold a community library, historical and otherwise books and other materials that will represent the historical and cultural background of our community, and other ethnic and other cultural arts and artifacts within that library. We also envision this facility to be a community center where if community members, certain groups, for example, groups from literature or youth groups or ethnic groups would want to do any events which are very essential, and I'll go on in detail about those activities in our community. this facility can be utilized to hold meetings, educational sessions, and so on. The other part of this proposal is establishing office for our organization. BCH is a community-based self-help organization established in 2011 to address typical post-resettlement issues that refugee families face. It was established by the community, some leaders from within the community, until about late 2022. BCH functioned as only with board of directors, addressing needs of family whenever anything came up. So an individual would reach out to BCH with help with applying for certain benefits or citizenship or things like that. And board of directors would volunteer to help those individuals in the community. The other part of the work that BCH did was organize events and other activities of social and cultural promotion and preservation. Our community consists of more than 10 unique, very distinct ethnic groups, even though we're collectively Nepali-speaking Bhutanese former refugees. We're comprised of many different ethnic groups and identities within ourselves. Lately, as our communities grew substantially within last 5 to 7 years in the central Pennsylvania region, in and around Harrisburg area, we started identifying issues and challenges that our community is going through that are uniquely associated with our background, having survived suppression and other forms of torture by the government in our home country, followed by a difficult refugee life over 2 decades in Nepal. And as our community grew and as the time in the US grows, we identify again a unique set of challenges that need to be addressed. And therefore, we started a more proactive understanding of the needs and scientific studies of what different needs there are in the community and how we could address those. As a result of our recent work around these issues, we have secured some really good grant opportunities with universities and other collaboration opportunities with the county and other institutions. Recently, this year, we also got approved to be an affiliate of ECDC, one of the 10 national refugee resettlement agencies. We are expecting our first client tomorrow. So because our community also came through the same process, this is a huge opportunity for us to quote unquote give back to the community. And whereas we have secured these opportunities to expand our activities and address the needs of the community, as well as be a part of the larger society here in central Pennsylvania, this came with the need to have a larger space to be able to staff our staff, have computers and other facilities in the office. None of these projects, unfortunately, have any extra funding that we allocate that we could potentially allocate to establishing an office, purchase, computers or spaces. And therefore, because of the need for both the community center as well as the need for our office, in order for us to be able to carry out the projects that we have already secured, and in order for us to be able to continuously participate in this local economy, support businesses and communities, we absolutely are in need of a more established institutionalized facility where the community again can come together. On top of these, one of the major challenges that especially elderly members of our community face is the issue of isolation. A lot of our elderly individuals don't speak English and have very limited means of communicating with anyone outside of their house. And having a community center will enable many of these individuals to come together, meet with their peers, and talk about whatever they want to talk about. So that is the need and idea, and that's what we're proposing in this through this proposal.
You have the building.
We don't own the building.
Okay.
We were basically given in kind of office room until now from one of the community's business owners, and there is a space available to renovate and utilize for our needs in the same building. We have talked with the owner, asked for contractors' estimates and so on to get a sense of how much that would cost, etc. And with the budget that we have proposed, if this gets funded, we're confident we'll be able to have the facility that we're anticipating, that we're wishing for.
What does ECDC stand for?
Ethiopian Community Development Council.
Okay.
It is one of the 10 major refugee resettlement agencies in the US.
Thank you.
Yes.
So you have several things listed here, right? If this were only partially funded, is there priority that you're looking at here?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
You have several things listed, whether it's renovation costs, furniture, computers, storage cabinets, other supplies, et cetera, to make up your total.
Sure.
And if you're not fully funded, is there sort of priority there that you would want funds to go to?
Yes. And so what we have indicated as the contractor estimate is that's absolutely a requirement for us to start anything for this facility. If we don't get fully funded, there are items that we can reduce the quantity. For example, purchase lesser number of computers than what we have proposed, for example. And a larger portion of our proposed budget includes purchasing of these historical, cultural, ethnographic arts and artifacts that we are anticipating, hoping to have on the walls of the center that we're proposing. And we, if we were to get funded, but in a lesser amount, that is an area where we would try to minimize the items, reduce the number of items we would potentially purchase, for example.
With the hope of purchasing them in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And if it's, at what level, what is the tipping point in your funding that could allow this to continue to move forward?
You mean the dollar amount?
Yeah.
As I said, the 35,000, and we sent Brooke an actual estimate the other day, which is reduced by 2,000. When I asked for an actual estimate, they came with 33,000.
That never happens. Okay.
Be optimist. A realist.
I think, I would say about 75% of what we have proposed if we were to be funded, we could have a decent, that would be a decent amount of money for us to fund all aspects of this project, perhaps on a reduced volume of purchase for some of the items that we have indicated, for example, computers or those cultural artifacts and other books and other materials.
So do you see any revenue being generated? Like, would you rent this hall for a birthday party or that's not in the plans?
That's not in the plans, to be
Okay.
honest, at this moment. But in order for us to, for example, once the library and the community center is in operation, we will certainly have to have at least a staff or two to administer, manage those facilities. And we will, we have discussed this plan with other partners that we have traditionally collaborated with, and other businesses that have historically supported us from within the community. And we are confident about being able to provide a sustainability, if that makes sense, to this project.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very
So
much.
when you arrived, were you speaking English?
Yes, to
You
some
speak
extent.
great English, that's
Thank
why I
you.
was
Thank you.
wondering.
To some extent, we did have opportunities to learn basic English. I think we were taught few sessions a week back in the refugee camp while we attended school. That's
No,
when
good
we
for you,
started.
I admire that, good for you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other questions?
I promise.
If not, thank you very much.
Thank
Wish
you
the
for
best
the
of luck there.
opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting here early.
Hey.
I can't even imagine what it's like to do that.
Yes.
It dropped in.
Yes.
I could,
You
I
get
don't know.
tortured and then you come here and nobody.
I'm not sure how that, I would, I mean, I guess you rise to be like a group that you want to do. But I mean, thinking on it at this level, at my age, my adaptation to change is not very. Definitely, yeah. Pretty well.
One plus to get, not 45,000. This is a frustrating.
Right in front of it.
Hello.
Hey, you want to go a little bit more to the left? We are live streaming. It'd be easier for the mic to pick you up. Less blurry on the camera, I don't know. Maybe it's not less blurry. But anyway.
This is blessed to give.
Welcome.
So thank you. I just said we are live streaming, so be aware of that. So if you wouldn't mind identifying yourselves and indicating what project you're affiliated, what your request is. Speak up for the mic. It is over to the left here, my left, your right. You have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation, so I would set a timer to 12. So if that goes off, then we need to wrap things up. If I missed anything, I don't think so.
You're there.
The floor is yours.
My name is Carla Johnson. I'm with Blessed to Give. I'm the founder of Blessed to Give.
My name is BJ Savetko. I'm with BBC Construction, TKO Roofing and Remodeling. Co-facilitating with Blessed to Give.
Co-facilitating. So basically, this project is called Bridging the Gap. It's a housing program that is specifically tailored to support young individuals who have aged out of foster care system and addresses homelessness among young adults. Transitioning from foster care to independent living presents a significant challenge, often leaving these youth vulnerable to homelessness and other adversities. Our proposal aims to address the critical issues by offering stable and supportive housing coupled with comprehensive services to facilitate successful transition into adulthood. Again, it's called Bridging the Gap. Our primary focus is on young adults ages 18 to 21 who have aged out of foster care or are homeless youth. This program is based off a supportive housing model offering not only affordable accommodations, but also a range of vital support services tailored to meet the young needs of individuals. So all of that in layman's terms is we basically want to help youth who are homeless right now. Youth who, I know a lot of kids who age out of foster care because they wasn't put in a home throughout their life, they have nowhere to go. And so our goal is to provide housing for at least 6 months of free service, and while they're there, learn what they need to successfully be on their own. If that comes with life skills, if they need mental health, whatever services they need. We have gained relationships and partnered with people in different organizations in the community so that we can bring them in free of charge to the youth. And then our goal after the 6 months, it will be a case-by-case situation. What their needs are still needed. Hopefully our goal is to be able to help them get work, get a job, and also find housing. My partner has multiple units across Harrisburg where if they were ready to get into the real world per se, he can supply housing. If they needed to stay, at a cost, of course. If they did need to stay longer, we could work out maybe a discount rent, but the program is a 6 month, we're not at 6 months, it's not like get out, that's not the goal at all. Like I said, it's a case by case situation on how we would handle the next part of their transition. So that's basically what the house is. It's and he can go further with the layout of the house because it's 3 homes on 1 property. As far as the bedrooms go.
So, like you said, my name is BJ Savetko. I own several businesses in the Harrisburg area. One of my businesses, property development within the city limits. We like to take distressed properties, abandoned, blighted properties, fix them up, and prepare a very nice quality of living for disenfranchised individuals. We work with people that are involved in reentry, coming home from prison. My wife and I, we own a recovery house for people that are transitioning from drug and alcohol dependency to putting the pieces of their life back together. We've worked with Wounded Warriors Project to house homeless veterans under the Market Street Bridge at various times. We've worked with the Department of Children and Youth to work and help families that are experiencing housing insecurities because of blighted properties, and so on and so forth. So when Ms. Hill, she extended the opportunity to work with another group of individuals, young adults, aging out of the foster care system that experience housing insecurities. I became really enthused and passionate about helping her cause. So currently have about 75 units in the capital region area. The particular property that we're proposing to assist in the Bridging the Gap project is a rooming house. Basically, what it is individual spaces that are economically affordable for individuals that are learning to, as you said, acclimate themselves into society. So, and our goal, again, is to continue to revitalize these units to really give the individuals a pride of ownership. Basically, what I've experienced in the past is that you really have to set people up with something that they're not willing to lose. And a big one is housing. So we set them up in a really nice unit. Ms. Hill's organization, Blessed to Give, she couples that with the resources in the community to really propel individuals into the beginning stages of their life. So again, I'm really passionate about helping out in any form and fashion, my friend and her great cause. Thank you.
So, these young people that age out, I assume they're near or finished high school.
Yes.
Okay. Are they skilled, or do they have a desire to go to college, or?
Well, that was,
is it all
that's,
in place?
we would do an intake, and that's, we would, from the point that when we meet them, we would learn about it from that. We'll get referrals from children and youth and different schools, on kids that are in that situation as far as homelessness. And, from that point, then we would assess like what their needs would be.
Okay.
I think, or as reviewing our notes, one of the great connections that Carla has made in the community is with Hollywood Casino. And they had expressed an interest in helping young people establish themselves in employment in the gaming industry. And that is so important because what you need in that field is to have a clean criminal background and a good credit background as well. So these are some of the skills that Blessed to Give will be teaching. And again, once we start to fulfill some of the basic needs like housing, we can, as you pointed out so greatly, employment, it incentivizes the individuals to continue to move forward. So she's established great connections in the community to help with employment.
Because I think without the basic needs, then what can you do in life if you don't have your basic needs? So we kind of want to take that stress off of them when they first come out, because like if you're facing homelessness, if you're facing this and you're facing that, then how can you proceed to make yourself better? So that's our goal. And then our goal also, like he said earlier, is, I mean, we've been working on the house for over a year. We could let them stay in it right now, but we want to get it to a certain point where they feel comfortable, not just like the normal rooming house that you think of in the city of Harrisburg. We want to fix it up, make sure it's safe, make sure everything's good, so that that's not a stress point for them as well. So that's why we're coming for the extra funding, so that we can put it to a place that maybe I would want to live in. You know what I mean?
And the ownership will be you in the house?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm in charge of the safety of the house, the maintenance of the house, making sure that, the utilities are kept up to standards, making sure that the inspections are, in compliance, the registrations are in compliance and things of that nature.
Is that a different entity than Blessed to Give
Yes,
that will carry those responsibilities?
yes, ma'am.
And then Blessed to Give is responsible. Blessed to Give is also partnered with that as well. But we're also then responsible for the housing, as far as making sure that the kids are safe. So we're going to be on site every day. Blessed to Give. Someone will have a house manager there looking oversighting the property, making sure they get all the resources that they need, and that they're continuing the program the way they're supposed to be doing. We're going to do bi-weekly meetings to make sure that they're staying focused on what they're supposed to be doing as well.
I'm good.
Any other questions?
Yes, the house manager that will be on site during business hours, is that the same individual for the 24/7 coverage, or different individuals? So there's more than one house manager?
At this time, it would be two, but it would be the same one. They just will have they will split as like maybe this week.
Rotate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Questions?
So how'd you get into
I
this?
just feel like you had one. I just saw it coming.
He lost it. He lost it.
So that's great.
How'd you get into this? How did you?
I've been doing Bless the Gift since 2015. I just love giving back. And as the time progresses, I add to the palette of needs that are needed. I learn as I go. So I started out with just youth, helping youth. I mean, like younger kids. I have at-risk programs, after-school programs. And then I started helping parents. I had a program at the detention center, Schaffner. And I just progressed. I started working with the school district. I started working in the school district. And then as I learn, I see the issues that we need to solve. Right now, I'm big on the gun violence that's going on in Harrisburg. So like I've been really trying to focus on how we can fix that. So as I learn the needs of the city then, or the township, or the Dauphin County as a whole, because we don't want to just do that just in the city. We want to do it in other areas. This is our first one. Because in my program, Bless to Give, I don't just help city youth. I help Swatera, I help Susquehanna, I help Stilton. So all the school districts are there. I work with all the superintendents in the local area. So it's bigger than just the city of Harrisburg.
We been probably working on this for about 5-6 years. I'm doing something for the youth of
Together.
Carla and I, partnering up. We've worked on some various other projects together.
Feed the homeless.
Yeah, and one of the overarching goals that Bless to Give has, and Carla Hill has, is to continue to bless, continue to enhance the question that you had earlier about employment and things like that. So one of the things that we have talked about in recent years, I would say, is starting up a mentorship program for employment, to start like teaching young men and women, trades and things like that. Like, so I have like a roofing business as well, so teaching safety in that. I mean, she has connections with TLC, who's big in the city, who does work-based training as well.
Absolutely.
Carrie Jackson Plumbing.
And I just did is that about 15 minutes?
That's 12.
Oh,
Yeah, you have a couple.
I just did over the summer, I partnered with Music Man, Conrad Lewis, and we did an 8-week entrepreneurship program for kids. So we did 8 weeks of teaching them entrepreneurship, the skills for entrepreneurship. And then at the end of it, we had a big event where they had to sell all their product. They had to figure out what their product was and they had to sell their products. So I'm a college grad, but I don't think everybody's made for college, you know what I mean? So it's teaching them something outside the box that they might not normally do. And I feel entrepreneurship is big. I was big into the agricultural, I think especially for the Black and brown, they don't know that you can be a farmer and make it. So I took kids onto the farm and I took them around to people who look like them and that make a living off of this. So it's just trying to show kids bigger than Harrisburg. That's my goal.
Yeah, just to springboard, just to keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
So I did have a question.
I knew it was coming.
Sort of more being incredulous than a question, but I noticed in your response to one of the questions that, of the $18,750, sounds like you've got a lot of work done. 3 roofs, remodeled all bathrooms, upgraded electric panel. But when I heard you do roofing,
Yeah.
I can see where some of that came in kind services, probably didn't charge for certain.
So
But I mean, you guys stretch your dollars pretty far.
Well, that's the good thing about the partnership that we have is that I'm very hands-on in the business. So as my pastor says, I'm able to make a dollar scream, is what he says. So that's what we want to continue to do. That's a good one, right?
Sure. We appreciate it.
Right.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
Thank you much. Good luck.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
We got a big group coming out here, so.
I do.
25.
Are you kidding?
Are you kidding? Oh, you serious?
I'm ready.
Which was that? Was you ready?
Probably United Central, yeah. It's a
United
box.
Central.
Oh, they want to use the program and the box.
Myself and Mr. Bernard and Mr. Hughes.
Who do we have, George?
United Central PA.
So, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, it's still late afternoon. Not quite yet, right?
We don't talk yet.
But anyway, so you'll have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation. I'll end up setting a timer for 12, so if the timer goes off, you need to line things up for the folks that will be following on your heels. We are live streaming. There's a mic over to my left or right, so if you can kind of project and speak up. Well, it's new equipment, it may not be top of the line. It works. So please, maybe for expediency, any presenters, right, to identify themselves, and we can acknowledge you have a fair amount of support in the room. How about that? So, but make sure you identify yourselves, your project, and what your request is. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
My name is Kirsten Hubbard. I'm with Unite Central PA. Unite Central PA exists in Dauphin County and in Harrisburg specifically. And we express our mission through, one of the ways we express our mission is through an after-school care program, an after-school program and youth program that is centered on equalizing access to health and fitness activities. We center around boxing, but there's also other programs as well. There's yoga and mentoring. There's also some wraparound supports like food, homework help, again, mentoring, after school care, field trips as well. So there's really a plethora of things that are offered either at low cost or for free. It is life-changing for the people, as you may see, who are here representing how it has affected their lives. Last year, Unite Central PA had actually for some time been partnering with Cameron Street Boxing on several projects. Both of them have outgrown their space, and they decided that it would be a great partnership if they merged together to open a new boxing club, also on Cameron Street, so he didn't have to change his name. They together have rented a 5,000 square foot facility that had been vacant before, and they have turned that into a thriving health and fitness club. So our request is, part of it is to continue to outfit that facility with treadmills, stair climbers, artificial turf, indoor and outdoor weight sleds, and some heavy bags and speed backs, plus the assemblages that are needed to post that. We also are requesting boxing gear for 10 youth. We have a scholarship program where youth are never turned away for any reason. If they want to come, they come. We have scholarships. The boxing equipment can be rather expensive, so we make sure that that is not a barrier to them joining. It should be noted that the boxing club is open to anyone who wants to come. You will go in there and see people of all sizes, of all varieties, of all health fitness levels.
Ages?
all ages as well. Claudia trains me, so I can testify to that. So all ages as well. This particular program is focused on the youth boxing program. But having said that, and understanding that the philosophy is that boxing is for everyone and everyone can benefit through the mentorship and the discipline that is earned through the sport. If youth have a desire to compete, we also have a program for that as well. I think we might have some national champions, international champions, people who have gone through this program, have signed with some of the biggest names in boxing, and have gone on to international success. So this is a pathway to success in that way, but also a pathway to personal success as well. Another thing that we're asking for is, and this is the key point, is a 16-person passenger van. We do have a van, we do provide transportation. Again, that is an enormous need in the area, and we do not want people not to come. We do not want youth not to come because they do not have a ride. So we do have a van, but it's very old, and it is not capable of the kind of volume that we have now. Now, Unite Central PA, as of last year, had about 40 participants, about 15 per day. That has expanded their partnership with Cameron Street Boxing. They're now serving over 80 kids per week, and they expect another 25 in the coming weeks. So the growth is exponential. The other thing I want to mention real quick before allowing other people to have their time is the economic development that's actually part of this as well. So sports tourism is an incredible, it's actually the second largest tourism driver. These two gentlemen have been able to, I've been to their boxing shows. If you haven't, they do amateur and they do pro-am boxing, and it is standing room only. And the larger facility allows them to have more and bigger tournaments that can benefit our local economy with secondary things like gas stations and restaurants. People come from all over the East Coast and sometimes a little bit farther to participate in these events. So with that, I'm going
One
to...
question.
Yes, sure.
So does a 16-person passenger van require a special driver's license?
Does it? I don't believe so. I think Claudia is the one who actually who drives it now. That
You
van
don't
would be
need a special
used.
license?
No.
No, okay.
And that would be used for transporting youth. It would be used for field trips. It would be used for community events because they also do things like school supply drives and Easter egg hunts. And also, when we go to tournaments, right now, they actually have to fly, and it is extremely expensive. We all have to fundraise to fly everybody and their trainers and their equipment. With a van of this size, Claudia says, I will drive.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and let Claudia and Rick have a moment, and we'd love to hear some experiences too.
My name is Claudia Kenyon. I'm the owner of Unite Central PA. I'm the CEO of Unite Central PA, also the owner of Unite Central PA Boxing Club. We partnered with Rick mainly last year. We moved into our new establishment May 1st, so we got on a year. We brought both our nonprofits together. This is serve the youth. The youth program I'm passionate in. We also do community events. We have a big Easter drive every year. It'll be the 4th annual coming up. We have a back to school event. Will be the 4th annual. We have trunk or treat will be the 4th annual. We started in 2020, and that's our way of giving back to the community. And how we do that, we get money through other grants. We get sponsorship, we get donations, and we get book bags, candy, everything, trick or treat. We get this through Hershey Candy. We donate a lot of stuff. So everything's coming out of our pockets. We do amateur shows, like she says. Amateur shows is another way to get our money into our account to look out for our kids, because without these grants, without the sponsorship, we can't do it. So the grants and sponsors come through, thank you to her, thank God to her. And when we were able to sponsor kids, and since 2020, we sponsored 21 kids. And what sponsorship does is we pay for the yearly membership, which is $700. We pay for $500 worth of equipment. So each kid is guaranteed $1,200 for a year. It's a year program. They have to maintain the whole year. And after a year, we can re-sponsor them. And we sponsor kids through the years. We have some sponsor kids here. All those sponsor kids stand up now. We have P sponsor kids. He's been with me for like 2 years now, going on 2 years. The other kids ain't here, but we also have, I have like 6 kids now that sponsor. We sponsor kids from the ages from 8 all the way to 18. Once they reach 18, we can no longer sponsor because it's a youth program. And with the band, what we highly request the band, because it's very important to us, because like you said, we take 4 or 5 kids to nationals, but coaches, you talk about $8,000-9,000 plane tickets.
Sure.
And that's a very expensive. And we do a lot of fundraising for that. We go to GoFundMe, sponsorship. I have a lot of sponsors there. And all y'all sponsors, raise your hands. That have sponsored me in the past. We have a lot of sponsors that sponsor kids. Steve is one of our biggest sponsors. He owns Chevy dealership in Kia Motors.
Nice.
He's one of my biggest sponsors. I mean, he gives up, for tickets, plane tickets, everything, he helps us out. He's also one of my boxers. More than time. He's one of our senior boxers. That's how I met him. Great guy. Thank God he's supporting us. So that van will come in handy. Also, the van will help us. We do a lot of after-school activities for us. We did Hershey Park last year, movie nights. That'd be a great help us. Or that was call point. Follow from sponsorship. When we go to like boxing shows, sparring matches, Golden Gloves, we got a call for. Or sometimes I have to rent a vehicle them to get us there because we don't have enough people. I mean, we don't have enough. My car doesn't fit about 4 people. So we rent in 3, 4. We put call for them, put 3 or 4 cars, or we rent 2 or 3 vehicles, and that's costly.
Who would own the car?
Excuse me.
Who owns the car?
My car. We just call for it.
Unite owns.
Yeah, United Central European Chemistry Box Club will own it on 60 past that van, and that would be used solely for any type of boxing events or after school event or on non-profit events.
So I'm hearing band a lot here, though there's other items on your budget list of stuff. So if you're only partially funded, I'm assuming what you're saying is the band is your priority?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that, and that would actually lead to the most cost savings. It's actually a cost saving.
One of the other things I think that I see in one of the questions, it says matching investment, and you said, hey,
Yes.
we don't necessarily have dollars,
Right.
but can you monetize your in-kind services?
Oh, yes, I mean, so.
I may not ask you to do it tonight, you can
Right.
send that back, send it over to
Absolutely.
Brooke via email, but so we understand what kind of leverage you have going there, because let's not let those volunteer hours go unmonetized.
Yeah, and it's not just the volunteer. So we do have, several boxing rings, and we do have equipment. This is like an additional list. So, we certainly can send.
Yeah, our equipment right now is old and
Yeah.
broken down. We just need new equipment.
And we need more because we have such a bigger space, especially the outdoor, being able to utilize the outdoor space in
And,
such a way.
excuse me, 2 mother sponsored kids, stand up. They just came in.
Yeah.
Which was great. We just sponsored them this year, 5 months ago. And they from Reading, PA. So they drive an hour and 15 minutes to Harrisburg every day to train.
And you said the age was 8 to 18?
18.
How old are you, young man? 9? Okay.
And we just
Getting started early.
We just got back from a national tournament this summer. It's a biggest national tournament. I took all of them. Stephanie right there. She's now ranked number 4 in the country. We have a number 1 ranking guy right here. Rashawn Sim, can you stand up? Rashawn Sim is number 1 in the country. He's on the youth team. He's also won international gold, and he won international silver in the Worlds this year. And then now he's fighting elite, and he's going to camp, USA camp, this Sunday for a month. We're trying to make the USA team. Yes.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you started?
13.
And also Claudia has recently got his own certifications.
I'm also USA. I got hired by USA Boxing last year. I'm a USA Boxing coach. I'm also a USA Boxing clinician where I train other coaches all over the country. And I train high performance fighters like Rashawn. They'll send me to camp with them, and I train them.
Do you 2 box?
Yes.
Yeah, you 2. You got the whole gamut here.
I was going to say, why don't we have everybody stand up who's trained with you? I've trained with you. Yeah. And we called these people Friday and said, hey guys, we need you to come and support.
That's great.
Yeah.
And they keep them around.
Okay, so how come you didn't?
She's the mother.
Oh, okay, you're the mother, okay. Somebody has to stay healthy.
Can't drive, we got black eyes.
She's our driver. That's what that's about. This is great, okay. Yeah, it really is a good program, so. Anybody else want to share, especially? Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Ricky Clark. I was in front of you guys about 6 years ago, you know? Me and Dow, you know, we've been doing this for a lot of years, and we talked that, and the stuff that you gave us before is basically what we're doing. We add to it now. And at that time, we had 50 people. Just in Cameron Street boxing, we have over 100 people, including with their gym plans. We have a judo thing. It has grown, and basically the equipment is to keep it going, you know. And as me and Dow, we up in age now, so we want to make sure that this keeps going and going and going, you know, because as far as youth, boxing has always been here, you know. So this is a good program.
Let me see, you have any questions, Latoya?
I do not, thank you.
Guys, just want to make sure there are any questions, but if you have something you want to share.
Please do.
Oh, I just want to say, so I grew up in Harrisburg. I didn't start boxing until my early 40s.
And so you're not even 40.
See how young boxing must make us look.
And some of the other intangible community benefits. I think you may know my aunt, Gloria Martin Roberts, but Coach Darrell put on a Christian comedy show. She was my date for that. That started at the gym. As a person who grew up in Harrisburg, stayed on the straight and narrow, but lost friends to the street, now seeing what the gym gives back to the community in terms of like literally saving lives and developing some of the finest young people that I've had the privilege of meeting. And they're probably tired of me saying that to them on a regular basis, but it truly is a special place. Again, I encourage you to stop in for a workout.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it started.
You would be.
That's how it started with me, and I got the book. I believe that people who are capable of defending themselves are less aggressive.
Yeah.
So these are life skills. There's nothing more humble than to think that this sport is one thing and then find out it's actually a battle against yourself, and you're the main opposition. So I'm grateful to the coaches. Ask any of them. I try to be a model of respect by addressing them by the formal title coach, and these gentlemen live up to that. It's an amazing part of the community that I'm proud to be a part of.
I'm gonna say one last thing. We have a strict disciplinary policy with our scholarship kids, our sponsorship kids. When we bring them in, I tell them this: we're going to teach you how to box, we're going to teach you how to fight and defend yourself. We don't want to use, we don't want you to go on the street or go to school and use that as a bullying tactic. So I'm in close contact with all the schools. Anything that didn't have to happen, they were suspended permanently from boxing, which has happened to me before, where a counselor reached out to me from a kid and we took him off the scholarship program, no longer out of the gym, but we gave him an opportunity to come back 6 months later. That's a second chance.
Oh, and just a quick point I want to make about the van and the need for it. So I made the mistake of volunteering to take Coach Rick down to the Golden Gloves. Sight unseen, I didn't ask for an agenda up front. And he invited me into his, what turned out to be a 20-hour day. And that was just one weekend out of the 8 or so back to back to back last spring. So in terms of what that van would do, and shout outs to him for taking that much time out. Shout out to all the coaches for taking that much time out. They literally have to work the corners, and they're so passionate about these kids' safety that being able to bring more people to an event without having the transportation issues that Coach Claudy said, you know, loading up in individual cars that each have to have a driver, taking care of that logistically would be a big deal. But we're talking about these gentlemen cut into their own pockets, they cut into their own time, and you know, I'm fully employed, so if I can give a little extra, I try to do so as well. So please keep that in mind in terms of the need assessment. You know, it falls back on sort of a hodgepodge of volunteers.
You sure you guys don't need a bus?
I think that might change your permit requirement. That sure make it the bitty bucks, right?
Typically, like the Golden Gloves are coming up in March. That's the every weekend of March, all the way until April. Typically, we take about 8 or 9 fighters and plus 2 or 3 4 coaches. So that's like, what, 13, 14 people, you know?
Well, I certainly appreciate your presentation, but our time had to go off.
I have one other question. The 5,000 square foot building, who owns that? Unite?
Unite and Cambridge Street, we co-partners.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, if you remember, the grant to Cambridge Street Boxing was for the Goodwill building. They retrofitted
Right, I
that.
remember
What
that,
happened
yeah.
was they sold the building, they were leasing it. So now they're back in their space, but that's what happened.
Okay.
And they had done well up to the point where Goodwill sold the building to CAT to
Right.
expand the bus terminal there, so.
That is a great turnout.
Yeah,
Great
thank
turnout.
you. And, you know, when we look around, what I see is that I see a lot of really healthy young people. And that's the point. That's the point. And those habits are gonna follow them into, trust me, I know, they're gonna follow them into their adult lives. And also for the community health as well and economy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Exciting one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, drive safely.
Say a few words.
You guys can like see me out front running. I live in Midtown. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for that point of clarity about the. You know, like, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right.
He went to
Just takes that, he was being flipped.
Yeah.
I should be using more energy. So even up another week, during the same tournament. That's fun. Yeah. It's amazing.
That was pretty cool.
But I know maybe that was.
So that's whatever the discipline it takes. Yeah, that's hard work. All of that. You can't turn out. You gotta focus.
Whatever, so, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
They're not bringing
But who knows how old this is,
That's true.
you know?
George, if I have,
So, yeah, whatever, should we look at that?
well, we can look and see.
Yeah, go to the Dauphin County GIS or.
Yeah.
But it is no challenge.
Brooke, they said they attached a letter to support.
Layer 1 properties.
Hello.
I didn't know it's supposed to bring 50 people with me.
You want to renovate a building, if I recall correctly.
Yes, that's what we would like to do.
Okay.
Make it a little bit more pretty. What do I do with this? You don't know.
So, welcome. Thank you very much for coming out. You have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation. Just keep us both honest. I'll set one for 12 minutes. We hear that go off. We need to wrap some things up. We're also live streaming, right? So if you could speak up, project your voice, the mic is over to your right.
All right.
And identify yourself, the project in which you're associated with, and what you're asking. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you for having me today. My name is William Coral. Basically, we're asking for layer one. We want to do some brick and mortar modifications to our buildings, so we would use the grant money to do so. Is that enough for the beginning? Okay, so basically, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I lived in the local community for the past 55 years. I'm a graduate of Susquehanna Township High School. I entered the military in the Pennsylvania National Guard 35 years ago and still serving today. At that time, I was sent through Air Force schooling for the telecom world, fiber optic cabling and network fundamentals. And then I was also years later sent to advanced Air Force schooling and learned proper installation and testing of fiber optic and copper cabling. So that's how I got my start in the industry and moved on to the private sector. So I'd like to explain a little bit about how Coral Communications and Layer 1 Properties kind of intertwine. 22 years ago, Coral Communications, we started that, my business partner and I. 18 of those 22 years, we leased buildings from landlords, which was great for the property owners and not so much for us. So about 3 years ago, we started Layer 1 Properties, which purchased a building on 1601 South 19th Street. The building has both warehouse space as well as office space. Out of the gate, we were replaced. Let me get my readers on. Out of the gate, we placed unneeded space in the building up for lease. Coral Communications and Layer 1 Properties were the first tenants. We started a small company in the meantime called All States, a national company we started 2 years ago, and it takes up one office space at a part-time basis. Finally, about 6 months ago, we signed a lease for a third of the building with 1-800-GOT-JUNK as a tenant. That's a 3-year lease we started back in June. So essentially with them coming into our building, they had a site in Mechanicsburg and a site in Lancaster, and they brought them into our building. So it brought 8 jobs into the local community. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about our apprenticeship program that we're very proud of. When we do at Coral Communications, we like to grow our techs organically. We like to train them in-house. We like to train them our way. We've hired a lot of techs from other companies, and they had either bad habits or their overall installation was done the wrong way. During the 23-24 school year, we brought 4 Central Dauphin High School students in. I only named 3 of them. The 4th one happens to be my daughter, so I don't want to name her in it for obvious reasons. But I'm going to let you know a little bit about what they learned. Each student's paired with at least one lead tech. The lead tech teaches them building codes, which are life safety measures. We send the students to a 10-hour OSHA safety course, which goes over working safely in the construction industry. We also teach the students by changing any type of building structure, i.e. drilling a simple hole through a firewall during cable installation, how you need to bring said firewall back up to rating with the new cabling now within that hole. We teach the students ladder safety. We also teach them the students lift safety as well. We provide the students with all PPE, which is personal protective equipment. We teach them the proper use of the equipment. We give them money for steel toe boots. We give them money for pants, and we provide them with t-shirts and sweatshirts that have our logo on it. So we also teach the students standards within our industry, which are guidelines set by our main organization, BICSI, which is the Building Industry Consulting Service International. Within these standards, they learn such things as distance limitations of the cabling they're installing, quality installations, which is tends to deal with the reduction and the loss of the cabling itself, and how to future-proof the cabling infrastructure they're installing now for the next 20 to 30 years. We also teach them testing parameters with our high-speed test equipment. And we tell them what the tester's actually looking for and corrective action for failed tests that they encounter. So the grant timelines, Layer 1 properties started modifications to the building as we could afford to in phase 1. We paid $35,000 out of pocket, and phase 1 and 2 together, project total is $126,000. We're requesting $75,000 in grant funding. We're self-funding $51,000. And all work has been done and completed in phase 1. I think that was one of the questions that was sent, one of the 9. So, summary for the grant money. We respectfully request grant funding. We feel it will not only enhance our building, it will foster job growth through tenants and employees. It will create well-paying jobs, attract quality future tenants. We aim to create a welcoming and modern space that benefits local residents and businesses and reserves as a catalyst for economic growth and neighborhood revitalization. Our phased approach, which began with out-of-pocket funds, demonstrates our commitment to seeing this project through. With grant support, we will expedite the improvement and deliver long-lasting value to the community. I kind of tried to marry up some of the things that are in the grant, so it kind of made sense. Just so you guys like seeing where Layer 1 and Coral Communications kind of coming together.
And are they all incorporated, Layer 1, Coral Communications?
Correct.
The other one, Albright?
All states.
All states.
All states. Yeah, we have, we started a national company, which we would love to bring local jobs in. We actually got the company, 2 gentlemen we did work for years, had a very large company that was basically championing them. And he said, look, we're going to go wherever you want to. And where they were working at the time, they were treated kind of unfairly. So they asked us if we would take them on because they're both in their 70s and 80s. And they're like, we don't want to start a new company.
Sure, yeah.
So they asked us, so we started All States Cabling. So we're starting out on the national side. So we'd like to try to branch that out into more job growth as well.
Okay. So this Get Junk, is Get Junk a
1-800
franchise?
Got Junk, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's the guys that come in and haul trash.
And is it a franchise?
Yeah.
So you're renting to that particular?
Correct.
franchise? Okay.
Correct. And at the time they had 2 locations and they wanted to have a bigger office. So they saw our office and we worked great for them. So they actually brought in 2 locations, the Lancaster and Mechanicsburg, into our building. So it brought them in all as one.
That's it for me.
So with what you're teaching these youth that come in, right? How is that different than what the electrical, what is that? The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers?
That's a good question. I mean, that's what everybody always says. Well, you guys are doing electrical work because it's copper cabling.
Well, there's high voltage, low voltage.
Right. Yeah, we're in the low voltage world. So essentially what happens is, and again, we work with a lot of electricians because we specialize in what we do. Because, I mean, some of them even tell them they just can't do it as well as we can. It's kind of a specialized field, what we do. Because as you see, computer networks are getting faster and faster. I mean, they're at like 40 gig backbones now. They're going up to 100. I mean, they're screaming data back and forth. These cables have to be able to handle that speed. And then the equipment, we probably have now with the current 3 testers we bought at $15,000 each. I think we have about $250,000 just with the test equipment alone. So we kind of get specialized in, we have to actually build an infrastructure to handle those types of things. They do teach on I guess it's the International Brotherhood, they do teach low voltage cabling, but we kind of take it one whole level above and bring our guys in, because there's actually what we have at the Big C. There's a whole nother slew of things that the techs, and many of our techs took advantage of that. We do pay for that for them. But it's a whole nother schooling level, if you will. And it goes up to what I am in my business partner, our RCDDs, which we can actually stamp prints along with engineers and such. So,
Would there be any benefit if you guys tried to partner with
With who?
With the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things we partner with a lot of people. So, I mean, I never really thought of it that way, but we do a lot with about 4 or 5 different local electricians. And they basically do the electrical work and we do our low voltage cable.
But I mean, there may be students that go there and then maybe electrical work ain't quite there for them, you know, and then they see this other end of things, because I don't know. I remember when I was much younger, right, another lifetime ago, I was doing electrical work, right? And this guy said, oh, they have a problem with phones over at blah, blah, blah. You need to go over there. Your dad did phone work. I'm like, yeah, my dad did. I didn't do phone work. I can't do that. You can send me over there if you want, but I'm not going to be able to solve the problem. So that was my point, and that was a lifetime ago. And obviously, you know, the needs and what, you know, Cat 5, Cat 6, enhanced, and whatever they have at this point in time, it's really taking things differently. I'm talking phones, you're talking computers, it's a different world out there.
And that's what we used to laugh about back in the day when we were at the base. I mean, all the time they would make the announcement, like, the network's down, the network's down, the network's down. But then they kept talking about how they're going to get voice over a network. Like, how in the world are they going to get that when the network's down all the time? But now, I mean, the networks obviously have gotten better. I mean, literally, me and one of my buddies for the 193rd there in Middletown, we literally drove down to Washington and picked up the whole entire network and put it in the back of this big truck and drove it the whole way back. As back in like 1992, but that was the first network that was actually down there. And now since then, it's probably gone over 10 different modifications. But yeah, it is a good question. I mean, we're always trying to teach our guys things, but is that the 12-minute or 15?
12-minute.
So that was 3 minutes for questions.
Yeah, finish your thought, please.
I forgot where I was at.
Is there any, are you guys gonna try to get into other school districts, like Susquehanna Township and still?
Good question. Yeah, now that we started rolling out, like, once I started working the whole grant system, we started like looking at, you guys asked about like SWATERA, have you worked in with that? You know, I've never really thought about reaching out to the, you know, local type governments. So we've done work for Dauphin County, and we do a ton for the state as far as work, but, you know, actually reaching out to people, because typically they have a need and they reach out to us versus the reversal. So going out and talking to the local, I guess, local government, but yeah, we plan on hitting up a couple of the VOTECs. The guy that we work with at Central Dauphin, he gave me the names and numbers of a couple of VOTEC type people. And then, so he said like a couple months prior to the end of school, then we could reach out to those folks and see if they can get, because we don't want to try to bring in a lot of the kids. I mean, 4 was very easy, smooth, because you're bringing these guys in, but you also have to worry about all the safety constraints and anybody getting hurt or anything. So we try to limit it so we could have like a one-on-one, but I mean, we have 24 techs in the field right now. We'd like to bump that up to 28. And even last year, I mean, we had 4 people going through our apprenticeship program. My daughter decided to go to college, but out of the 3 guys that we actually had in, one of them we actually are going to employ after he gets out of high school this year. So it's like anything else. I mean, some kids come in and they might even see like, okay, we're on a construction site. Like it looks like more fun like that guy's doing over there. But no, none of us knew what we wanted to do when we were younger. Things sounded interesting.
Are you gonna do it again?
What's that?
Bring 4 more in next year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we loved it. I mean, the guys loved it. And a lot of times it's interesting how much you learn when you're teaching somebody something.
Yeah, that's true.
So what was the criteria you used to bring them in? Hey, are you interested? You want to come look, or?
It was more or less that. Like, we had one of our guys come in and we're like, well, you know, we're pretty busy. You have a couple other guys, but then we had to kind of break them up, which they didn't like too much.
And are they seniors or?
One was a junior that he's actually finishing his senior year this year. He's going to come in with us. But the other guys were kind of undecided if they were gonna go on to college. And even he was talking about going to Penn Tech up in Williamsport. I'm like, well, you can go to Penn Tech, but I mean, we'll give him on the job training if he really likes it. Like I said, we have Bixie, which is our governing body for our standards. So that's kind of what it is on our world. It's codes based, which codes are what, I mean, ultimately kill somebody. Like, you know, you have to follow those codes to keep building, whether you're doing something to building or when you're working around any type of adverse area, especially in new construction. But the standards are really what we have to follow, and that's where we're very, very anal with it.
No, I'm good. I was good.
Latoya?
Yes. How many tenants do you have in the building?
Well,
That's the subject of the grant.
so it's 4 total.
And are any of them nonprofits?
No.
Thanks.
They are.
Thank you much. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Oh. Guess you guys are almost done?
At 9 o'clock.
You guys were very nice and spry on Monday when I was watching.
Oh, you're the one. You're the one.
There were 3 people.
You were lurking.
Take it easy now.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
You said the letters are attached.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's attached. Other than the Word document of their answers.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep.
Looks like a New York. I had it out there.
Yeah, I had it up. What was it, 1601?
I just noticed this. But
Yeah, right down the street.
people are interested. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi.
CMU?
Hello.
Thank you much for coming out. And you folks have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation. I'll set a timer for 12 minutes, so if that goes off, we have to wrap some things up so the folks behind you have their opportunity. But we are live streaming. The mic is to your right. And if you wouldn't mind identifying yourselves and how you're affiliated with this project and what you're requesting. So that said, I'll get out of your way and the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate the committee and your time. My name is Patrick Slattery. I'm the CEO at the CMU, also known as Pathways Forward, just a little bit of rebranding. And
I'm Bill Price. I'm the Director of Mental Health Services over at the Case Management Unit, Pathways Forward.
so we've been a part of the community for 35 years now as the base service unit for Dauphin County. So basically anyone that is eligible for county services who needs mental health care, help with intellectual developmental disabilities or autism or early intervention. So from essentially birth until death. So we work with people at every age range across all of Dauphin County. And we essentially connect people with the services that they need in the community to help them live the best lives they can. For IDD, so for intellectual developmental disabilities, that's more akin to living fulfilled lives. Mental health, it's more about getting to recovery where they don't need any of our services or even any services from any other provider. So we're essentially the glue that kind of holds together the mental health and intellectual developmental disabilities and autism and early intervention communities in all of Dauphin County. So that's a mouthful. And so we're seeking some support to revitalize our infrastructure. So we're a nonprofit, haven't had always a lot of money to spend on our own infrastructure. So we are requesting some support to help improve our services and also make us more efficient and effective with those that we serve. So I thought I would do this I don't want to keep you away from dinner, so I'll be mindful of time. So I just.
We have a ways to go. You're not our last.
Okay, so we'll push it off on the next.
We're good.
But I appreciate your time, and I understand it's a volunteer, so God bless you guys. It's a lot. So our infrastructure improvement grant request is for support to refine and improve our facilities and the enhancement of our computer technologies and use of automation. So we have maybe 250,000 appointments a year. So just do the math on that. And we have people calling to confirm appointments. So we have a very sort of old school way of doing things. And we'd love to have some automatic appointment reminders like your doctor or dentist might have as an example. And so that costs money, and so we're looking for some help. So I'm kind of going through the criteria. So emergency services, health and public safety, right? So CMU, known as Pathways Forward, is a critical healthcare partner with relationships across the community as articulated on pages 6, 7, 8 of our proposal. Far more than 50 different agencies that we partner with to get care to the people that need it. And Pathways, in many cases, is really, as I said earlier, the glue that holds this community together. On the human service front, our services directly and positively impact those with low income, the unhoused, and impoverished people, as well as women and children facing abuse and challenges with collections of child support. Our Jeremy project specifically focuses on youth development and success, and we serve many seniors in both our mental health and IDD programs. So Pathways Forward works with all ages, from cradle to grave. Costs associated with the delivery of our services, as well as facility costs, have consistently risen, and this grant would be a much needed source of relief relative to being unfunded or underfunded. And a great thanks goes to Randy Yeager at the county and Andrea Kepler for their commitment and partnership, which is affirmed in Ms. Yeager's letter per this application. The work of Pathways Forward strongly promotes the health and safety and public interest across every corner of Dauphin County. And it's probably a fairly rare applicant that we can say we touch pretty much every corner of Dauphin County at some point or another. To the good, I hope. And relative to public need, Pathways Forward fulfills a vital public need in addressing the many complexities of those struggling with mental health issues and creating pathways for their recovery. For those with intellectual developmental disabilities and autism, our teams provide a powerful advocacy to help them and their families experience much needed relief and the resources to live their best lives. So we have about 1,500 people that receive our support coordination service, and that means 1,500 families that come along with that. And folks that have intellectual developmental disabilities, it's lifelong, right? So the families burn out. A lot of times it's just a lot of work to help them navigate the world. Relative to leveraging of gaming funds, we have and will continue to seek additional grant foundation support for the project, and we're also committed to investing our own funds to support the project. We have sought out support from PCCD, so Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, as well as the Harrisburg Foundation Upstream Grant, unfortunately, both of which were denied. So it looks like our own money is going to be even more important. But as relative to timeline, we'll complete the project within 1 year, so this will be a pretty quick in and out for us. We really have some strong goals for 2025 to satisfy all these needs post haste. Local planning, our efforts as an organization specific to this project align well with local comprehensive planning, and especially related to unhoused population of Dauphin County, of which we facilitate extensive support and funding assistance. So we have a partnership with Dauphin County MHADP that basically says none of the people we serve should be homeless. So we spend a lot of money making sure that people are off the street and someplace safe. And that's a big part of our mandate. Community support, we appreciate Senator Rothman and Representative Madsen, as well as the exceptional ongoing support of the county commissioners, of which Commissioner Hartwick is our lead, as well as the guidance and wisdom we received from Ms. Yeager and Ms. Kepler. And they are wonderful partners. We appreciate their ongoing support. And then last but not least, the pre-application conference. So greatly appreciate the substantial work of Brooke, and equally grateful for the graciousness of Solicitor Latoya Winfield Bellamy and Mr. Connor for holding our pre-application conference before the deadline. So much appreciate the graciousness of those folks, and appreciate them. And I think I've burned through that pretty fast, so I'm going to tell a quick story that one of my staff provided. So we do a lot of intakes. We intake folks in the county for services to make sure that they're eligible to get the help that they need. So we do them every day. And our intake department received a phone call from a woman named Emma. His names are changed to protect identities, who was very, very desperate. Her mother had been arrested 2 weeks prior, and Emma had taken in her younger brother as a result of this. Her younger brother, Charles, only 22, is nonverbal and has a history of aggression and significant hygiene issues, due in large part to his abuse and neglect history. And Emma, at the time, 6 months pregnant and had a little one at home as well. So she had a pretty busy life and living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and she still took in her brother to keep him off the street. She called APS, Adult Protective Services, who told her that Pathways Forward would be the place to call. So she called us. And we were able to expedite the required testing and obtain school records and reach out to APS again to get Charles Bull open with Pathways Forward, CMU, and into a respite home to give Emma a break. We were also able to utilize partner agencies to obtain food and clothing for Emma and Charles and the rest of the family to ensure their safety. Pathways Forward is now Charles's representative payee. I can explain that if you like, but we basically handle all of his finances to make sure he stays stable. And we're assisting Emma with obtaining guardianship to help him, again, stay safe. In addition, Charles has been enrolled in some state funding and has an upcoming meet and greet with a residential provider to possibly move into a forever home. That's just one example of some of the great work that we do, and multiply that times about 5,000, because we serve about 5,000 Dauphin County residents at any given point in time across the county. So I thank you for this opportunity to champion our great organization and the continued powerful work that we aspire to deliver even better with your help. And among all the good outcomes for the people we serve, we also do need to grow as an organization, and this grant will help move us forward with efficiency and effectiveness, because we need to add about 20 staff. We have people waiting on a wait list for mental health services, and given some things in the budget, we expect the demand for IDD services to increase as well. So we need to add with 20 staff. So we're heavily recruiting people to come and do this work.
I see some of the questions that were noted that you answered. You indicated what the on the cost for the network, the auto appointment, the electronic signature software, and those are verbally written out. Could you also send in the actual quote that you received? Sure. And just email that to Brooks, and we have that on file, and any other updates that you may have as you move forward. But let's just say that hypothetically, we're either not able to fund or only partially fund. Is there a priority? And let's just say also, as a two-part question, if we're not able to fund, how will this move forward?
Right, so question one, server, right? So the things that we have to have in order to function, so catastrophic failure of our server, we just have to do. So we've already spent that money, so that would be the thing we would want to get support for right away.
That's
a 17,000. The laptops is a perennial, so that's obviously a high priority because we need to onboard new staff. We need laptops to onboard them. And then the automation for appointment reminders and the automation for the AI generated notes, right? So we want to have a way to take our documentation electronically. So those are two technology advances that we like. So, and then relative to funding or not, obviously we appreciate all the funding you can manage, but we're committed to this project. It's going to get done by hook or by crook. Well, we're going to fund it ourselves, find more, find more partners, but these are things that we just absolutely need to be the best at what we do. Our 2025 mantra is perfect the craft, right? We're perfecting the craft of case management and supports coordination with the help of Bill and his compatriot, Amber. And so we have a team that's focused on that. So we're gonna make this happen one way or the other. It's vital for our future.
So last week I learned what an OWL was. That's that thing. And I see you have an OWL conference room device. Are you getting one of them?
We actually did buy that already, so that would be a reimbursement, yeah. And we got it on a Black Friday sale.
So good.
We got it a little bit cheaper than that.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So it actually came in under the amount.
Does it focus better now?
You know what? It's great for certain angles, crystal clear, but like where you are, not as great, like not as clear. I've been watching the YouTube.
I saw that you were one of our subscribers.
Yeah. No, I was learning, how it's going.
Yeah, we don't have a big following.
That's not must-watch TV, the NFL's beating out.
Not on Prime.
But no, it's worked pretty well. It's good for like some, like tighter group, like, yeah. We use it in a small conference room and it works pretty well.
And I see ours, it's really not the gaming advisory boards, it's.
So one of,
It's Dauphin County ITs.
Okay,
oh, nice.
any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Well, Joanne,
No, thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, so I got 19%.
I'm down with that. I brought, we had dinner, is there somewhere you can plug this in for?
Yeah, I mean,
Which one are you? Are you,
do you have a plug?
I didn't bring one with me.
Oh,
are you the oval or?
Yeah.
are you like an iPhone, a normal iPhone?
It's, yeah, it's an older one, I probably had it 5 or 6 years. I can wait, I mean, you don't need to unplug me.
Is this what you need? You can borrow this.
Okay.
David, you ready?
Yeah, that's probably
Going to the back?
Yeah.
Are you ready? You going to the press room?
I don't think that's it.
This is.
We right on time?
Yeah.
Well, then I better stay
You're
here
welcome
for only
to
right
use
on time.
that. Okay.
I'll leave it here.
See what we can do.
Okay.
Sure, bring it. Keystone Human Services?
Yes.
Little bit.
Keystone
Hello.
Human
Hello.
Services.
Good evening. I've been seeing it all afternoon. So, this evening, you have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation,
Okay.
right? It is being live streamed. The mic is to your right. So if you could speak clearly and loudly, maybe it'll pick you up. I don't know if you listened to it previously, but anyway. Please identify yourself and the project that you're associated with and your request. So just to keep us on schedule, I will set a timer for 12 minutes. If it goes off, we need to wrap things up so that we keep moving ahead. So,
Okay.
great.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Valerie Wyman. I work for Keystone Human Services, and I'm here today to represent Capital Area Head Start and our request for funding to enhance safety and security and health upgrades for the children served in the Capital Area Head Start program. So the 4 components of the program in priority order are a system that will keep doors locked except for authorized visitors. And that obviously staff, teachers, and parents who are authorized. So the doors will be securely locked and there will be no unauthorized entries. It will also, as explained in the application, will be able to monitor events that are going on inside and outside the buildings. We feel that's very important. I think if you've read the application, you will have seen that we needed to close and move out of one of our centres about 18 months ago, I think it was now, because of some violent behaviours, threatening behaviours in the neighbourhood, which wasn't good for our staff, it wasn't good for morale, it wasn't good for the children, the parents, anybody. And so our decision then was to move out of that centre and to transport the children to another area. Our focus is always on providing a safe space for the children wherever we have our centres, and that's the only way we can provide our programmes. We have to make sure that our centres are where the children are, that they can easily get to the centres for their education. Some of them are not living on a bus route, and so transportation is quite often an issue for these families. And so we provide centres where they are in neighbourhoods which have needs. So, and we will never run out of the needs that need to be met either. So we want to make sure that we provide a very safe space for the children wherever these centres are, and we have 4 in Dauphin County. A second need on our list of this project is for a texting app, and in Dauphin County, we serve about 700 children and families. We have 29 or 30 different languages spoken. And as you can imagine, when there is a message that needs to be delivered to the families, most people these days, if not everybody, uses a texting platform. So this texting app will deliver a text to a whole group of people, families, in their preferred language, which will just make our lives so much easier, getting the information across to people who need to know what is going on, who can answer questions if there's an emergency or a weather alarm or alert or anything. We can get this information out to them. So this system is really, we've had our eye on it for a while. We know it'll be worth its weight in gold. So having the texting system with all these different languages is the second on our wish list, if you like. Then last year you were wonderful and you funded our renovations at the Paxtonia Centre. That's not quite finished in that we still need to put up a fence and we need a sunshade area there to better serve the children, protect them from, being, just keep mindful of their privacy and keeping them safe when they're playing outside. And lastly, we have we do vision screenings and oral health screenings to make sure that the children are meeting their physical and developmental goals. And these screeners are the only tool we have to make sure that we can check their vision and check their hearing and identify any potential problems. So when these machines wear out, they're incredibly expensive to replace. So they are also part of this project. Is there anything else I can tell you? Do you have any questions?
What's the youngest that you have?
So our preschool go from age 3 until 6.
Okay.
We have an early Head Start program which serves unborn children. So it starts working with the pregnant mother so that she has a healthy pregnancy and delivers a healthy baby. And then the families are supported as they through infanthood and toddlerhood and monitoring of healthy development of the children.
Is there any update on the other grants that you have out there since
Yes.
your application?
Yes, I supplied this information yesterday. So we were fortunate and grateful to receive $10,000 from the Hollister Foundation. We on the list, we had that down as 5, and we were fortunate to receive 10. We received $25,000 from the John Crane Kunkel Foundation. And then the others that we have listed, one was declined. We were declined, unfortunately, by the Whitmer Foundation. And then the Keystone Partnership funding is confirmed. And then the others on that list are still pending.
So the extra 5 you got from Roberta made up for it.
Yeah.
Good for you. That was nice. Yeah.
Yes, they're very nice. We can appreciate them.
Any other questions?
I'm impressed that you didn't use notes or anything. I mean, that's pretty impressive, yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Is it all of your funding from grants?
To run the Head Start program? Federal, yes, it's a federally funded program.
Well,
And
I mean, when I look at this, to get to your 195, it seems like it's all.
Yes, well, none of that will be funded by the federal grants because the federal grants will pay the salaries of the teachers and
We don't do salaries.
no. So whenever we need to enhance our programs, and obviously we always have a laser focus on safety in space, then we seek donors and funders and grant sources who will support the really, really important work that we do.
There's no other questions.
Do you have an idea of when you would expect to hear from some of these other funding sources, like when they make their awards?
So the top one is you. The second one I'm expecting later in the spring. And then community, they'll be in the spring, like March or April time.
Thank you. And then is there a top priority in your
Yes.
request with something that's urgent or?
Yes, we are. Our top priority is the what we call the Verkada doors system, the security system, camera systems to secure the buildings. That's the top priority. And the second one is the texting app. And they are actually the most expensive items on our project.
Thank you.
Is there a subscription for Verkada that you need?
There
That would be
is.
a reoccurring expense?
There is, but it's included because we sign a 5-year contract. So those first 5 years are all covered. But the 5 years covers the licensing fees for those first 5 years.
And then at the end of the 5 years, it'll be obsolete.
It'll be part of our operating costs, yes.
Any other questions?
No. Very good.
Thank you much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and for your consideration. We really appreciate it. And everything that this entity has done for Keystone and Capital Area Head Start. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much, man.
How's that working?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Oh, will Ned be in here?
They turned the AC on.
I think so. Yeah.
Gotta keep us awake.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know who touched it.
That was like last week. Got chilly.
AC right there. LHM Foundation,
Hello.
Matthew, you want to take over?
Chairman just stepped out, but we can get this moving. Look here, this is your first time with us?
It is, thank you.
All right, so you have 15 minutes
Okay.
to do your presentation. I know some questions have been sent to you, so you can incorporate answers, those questions into your presentation.
Okay.
Just one note that we are live streaming, just so that you're aware of that.
Great.
And if you could just introduce yourselves and we'll turn the presentation to you.
Absolutely. My name is Amy Forrester. I'm the CEO of LHM Hospice and Social Services. This is my colleague, Ellen Abbott, who's our Director of Development. So thank you for having us. Here we go. So as you saw in our application materials, LHM Hospice and Social Services Foundation is a 501c3 that is preparing to offer a transitional housing program here in Dauphin County. Now, transitional housing means a little bit different things to different people, so I just want to be clear what we're talking about. We're talking about working with individuals and families who are homeless or and even at risk of becoming homeless, giving them a safe place to live during our 18-month program. And while they are there, providing them with supportive services that give them the tools they need to achieve long-term housing stability. So it's very much the, teach a man to fish model of transitional housing. It was really important to us that we do so in a community setting. So we are really lucky to be partnering with a donor who has purchased a 42,000 square foot former senior living facility on Butler Street in Harrisburg and donating its use for our purposes. So you see a couple pictures there. I'll only highlight that this is the property. It's on 15 acres of green space, kind of backs up against Klein Village if you're thinking about where it is. And those are some pictures from the inside of the property. We are subject to fundraising, anticipating opening in October 2025. I know I provided some additional information in my questions over the weekend about our fundraising efforts. We have additional developments just today that I can certainly share with you. This particular project, with respect to our local share grant application, we kind of framed it as the furniture project for the building. The building includes 58 resident units. I should clarify right now, we've made it through the zoning process. We have the zoning approvals we need, so there are no issues on that front. We have 58 residential units in the building. Every unit has its own private bathroom. They are all big enough by the building code to house 2 family members. We're only putting related or family units in there. We anticipate at least half will be designated for single individuals. The other half will be multiples. And that I want to be really clear that those numbers are fungible within the 48. We can go back and forth and the code allows us to do so. But for purposes of this application, we did break it down so we knew what we would be applying for. We considered the 58 rooms to be 27 singles, 26 doubles, and 5 triples. But when you do the math, even if they were all singles, it still exceeds, and we're prepared to match up with our own funds. It exceeds the $75,000 that we've applied for. With regard to the furnishings that we are applying for the grant to support, think please of dormitory style furniture, really kind of robust wood, not too fancy furniture, but everything is the same from room to room, so we don't create any tensions amongst the residents, and it's furniture that will last. So we anticipate putting a bed frame and mattress in each room, and again, it gets multiplied if we have multiples in a room. A 4-drawer chest, table and 2 chairs, table and 4 chairs if it's 3 or 4 residents, and a microwave and a mini fridge. That is that is a double room that you're looking at there, or a family occupancy room. There's the front room, there's another room behind it, and you can kind of see a restroom, a private bathroom in the way back. We've solicited, as you saw in our application materials, and you see here, we've solicited quotes from different vendors of this type of furniture. Now, the illustration we have here, just to be clear, is not the actual furniture. We're sharing this just to give you an idea, again, of the type of furniture we're talking about, the really utilitarian, again, university dorm style furniture. There we go. With respect to, and I don't know if you had any questions regarding it, but we presented our budget in our application materials. And as I shared earlier, when you look at the math, a single room for this furniture is $1,783, a double is $2,716, and a triple is $3,587. So no matter how you cut it, again, even if we go with all singles, it still exceeds the amount that we are asking for in this grant application. I want to talk just a little bit, actually, before we get here, I will flush out a little bit from the information I provided Monday morning as with respect to our ability to fulfill whatever piece is not met by the grant. Our operating budget for the entire program. And again, understand this is just for the furniture project, but just to put it into context for you, our operating budget for the entire program is just south of $2 million a year once the building is fully loaded with the resident units. We are going to scale up, start with 10. Our plan is to add 5 a month. So we are not diving right into a fully loaded building. However, we launched a fundraising campaign in November of 2024. We've been relatively successful to date. As of this morning, we are up to $921,000. So we're about halfway there. But again, that's for the whole program. We certainly need all the help we can get. We have about another $1 million out there in gift agreements that we expect to be signed that we have not yet received. That, however, again, is for the ongoing operations of the facility and the programming that we're providing. To talk just a little bit about the grant criteria, about how our programming kind of lines up with the Dauphin County Comprehensive Plan. As we show on this slide here, there were 2 specific topics within the plan that we believe that our program, and again, the furniture that we need for the program, matches up well with. And one is the opportunity for housing security, and you can see the language we borrowed there. And the other, which is really important with regard to the programming part of our plan, it's with respect to the economy, the education and training for the underemployed. In our programming, in the Horizons program, we know who the experts are, and we've been meeting with them throughout the area. We don't purport to think that we will be able to all ourselves with our employees to deliver the economic literacy, educational furtherance, job training, et cetera, programming. What we are providing is the facility and the staff to help facilitate experts coming in and partnering with us to deliver that programming. And I think we provided in our materials, we provided 3 different letters of support from entities that work with homeless populations right here in our area, 2 of which I think are the largest entities to work with this population. We provided a letter of support from Christian Churches United, which acknowledges, let's go to theirs first, which talks about the need for additional transitional housing in our area. I think it's really important for the success of our program. Nonprofits we get busy, we kind of look, we get blinders on, and we don't do a great job of working with each other. So we have been really intentional about reaching out to and partnering with other nonprofits to say, okay, this is a continuum, this is a spectrum of care. Let's talk about where we can fit in it. So CCU has been a real big supporter, and we appreciate that. And then we're incredibly grateful for the support of Randy Yeager at Human Services here in Dauphin County. She has brought through staff from Children and Youth Services. I've met with staff from the Dauphin County prisons, because we have time now to say our program, which we anticipate launching in October, when we want to hear from you about what we should be thinking about, what we can do to make ourselves as useful as possible for the clients you serve. So we're really, really been appreciative of the help that Ms. Yeager has provided to us in that regard. So any questions, is there any additional information that we can provide you beyond what you heard this evening and what's in our application?
I don't know. I love things like this. This is great.
What's the cost to furnish 1 unit? Or the range?
Absolutely. So 1 unit for a single, if we were going to do just the one piece, is $1,783. And if we were going to do a double, it's $2,716, and a triple would be $3,587. Now it goes up from there. We have rooms. The rooms in the facility range from about 220 square feet up to 540 square feet. So under the code, while we would never put this many people in a room, understand that under the code, you only need 70 square feet for the first person and 30 square feet for every person above that. So that room that you saw that was really quite large with the 2 adjacent rooms, when we had Children Youth Services come through the space, they said we would easily, and it would be better than where we're currently having to do it sometimes, we could easily put mom and 3 children in these 2 adjoining rooms in space like that. So we could get north of 3 people for sure in a unit.
So you were executing your agreement with your landlord later this month?
No, so we've already done that. And in the interest of, I don't think I was prepared to say publicly in the application, but I'll explain it better now. Our landlord.
You're being streamed.
And I'm okay with that, thank you. I am
saying it publicly.
No, I appreciate that very much. Our landlord is also the chair of our board. So he has purchased this facilities closing on January 27th, but we already have the lease agreement with him. He's purchasing this facility closing January 27th. We have a no-cost lease with him for purposes of operating the program there.
So I think I misunderstood the response. Okay. Okay, I got you.
And we've had the lease in place actually, even though we're not yet in the facility, since July, because we needed that for us to have standing to pursue the zoning variance, us, the foundation, to pursue that. And we pursued that and had no community opposition.
So what's the history of that building?
This was, I'm told anecdotally that center pointed part at one time was a convent for the Diocese of Harrisburg. I have not confirmed that part. What I can tell you is now the wings of the building, they have a 1958 cornerstone. It has been owned since early 2000s by a private equity group in New York City. And in 2016, it was a senior living facility. In 2016, they shuttered it. Nobody was checking in on the building. A pipe burst and wreaked havoc, did horrible damage to the property. When someone went in and saw it in 2018 or whenever they went in, they took it down to the studs. So they took it down to the studs. They put in $10 to $12 million, which is also public. They put $10 to $12 million into renovating it and then tried to open it in January of 2020. Nobody was moving loved ones into family care facilities 2 months later. So the seller just cut their losses. They own 34 facilities in New York, 1 in Pennsylvania, and they just cut their losses. So Mr. Dreher stepped in, bought it, and is donating the use to the foundation.
So it was not used since it was remodeled?
Oh, I should have said that. They tried to open it in 2020. It just didn't go well. They never got more than half full. So of those 58 units, some of them have never been stepped foot in. Carpeting is, looks brand new still. So it was about half full. They moved their last resident out in December of 2023 and put it on the market in January of 24.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Oh. Last year, mid-year stuff. That's an ultra. You're still.
He's still playing.
I don't think that's.
Living Well Institute. Where am I looking at? That search is not there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's on down for the
What's that doing there?
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, we got, okay, thank you. I was like,
Did you know what the L was? Am I the only one in the world that didn't know what an L was?
I didn't.
Oh, good, thank you.
Only because we've been to rooms with owls.
With L's, yeah, I haven't been there, yes.
So, good evening. Thanks for coming out. You guys have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation this evening. Please make sure you identify yourself because we are live streaming the project that you're associated with and what you're requesting. And what I'll do is set a timer for 12 minutes. If that goes off, we need to wrap things up. Take her away.
Great, well, thank you for having us. I think we're all going to co-present. My name is Steph Eisenbeiss. I'm the Executive Director at Living Well Institute. And this is Adriana Bugmanic. She's our family advocate, and Kathy Frick, who's our board president. And I would just start off on behalf of all of us in our organization. Thank you for the opportunity. This is tremendous, and it fits the potential for an unmet need that's been very, very significant for us and the work we do with families in the county. It's been ongoing and growing. I'd start off by just sharing a little bit about who we are and what we do. So we are a community health nonprofit that was founded in 2005. We humbly say we're one of Dauphin County's best kept secrets. We've done this work in the county mainly volunteer-based until about 8 years ago, when really our capacity to meet the needs in the community just far outstripped what the needs were. So recognizing we're a nonprofit here to meet the needs of the community, we tried to grow and expand. And we did that meaningfully by having a partnership with Dauphin County Human Services, first with their drug court program, and then with their child welfare, children and youth services. And we did that because we say that we're a family business in the business of restoring families. So we started our nonprofit really to meet the needs for people that sort of fell through the cracks of traditional systems. So largely families who've experienced trauma. Certainly the ones we're working with intensively in Dauphin County are fighting generational cycles of poverty, drug addiction, and mental health. So the families that come to us and that the county sends to us, or that find their way to us on their own, primarily through word of mouth, are the ones that have tried traditional services. The county has continued to come to us from a leadership perspective, as well as through doctors and teachers and counselors. And they sort of say, just call Living Well and they'll figure out how to help you. They'll say yes and then figure out how. So we serve a lot of families. We make a very big yes. And I would say transportation and the need for a van has been one of our biggest barriers. Given the nature of Dauphin County, especially around where the casino is located, it's just a rural area that doesn't have great access to public transportation. And a lot of the families we're working with are large families. It's not your mom and dad and 2 children. It's large, blended families that have a lot of needs, especially needs that consider going to doctor's appointments, making it to school to meet with teachers, to meet the needs that their kids have, going to drug and alcohol counseling, coming in for a urine screen. Just a lot of barriers that we find if we can't help with the transportation piece and get the family together as a unit, we're sending our whole team out in their personal vehicles, sort of all hours of the day, on the weekend. We're oftentimes the first ones to respond to a crisis. Families have our personal cell phones. We also use our personal cell phones, and we're typically the first ones they call. And we get them to emergency responders, but I think about even some of the families that live in the mobile home park that's right by the casino. We respond frequently to their needs, whether it's domestic violence, the kids that need to go to the hospital because they have special needs. And so our team is the one going out in their personal vehicle, having a couple people come out, getting a volunteer. And so really this would meet a need that I think would have reaching impacts throughout the community. I think we were surprised to look at the parameters for the grant and recognize, I think we believe we meaningfully fit into those. And it's very consistent with the proven methodology and the work that we're doing to care for families.
Why haven't you asked for 2 vans, 2 small vans instead of a 15-seater?
Too small rather than a 15-seater. I think in large part because we try and work with families in group settings. A lot of the work we do is to build community. The majority of the families we work with have a lot of broken ties in their families. They've burned almost every bridge they have. So we're really working on repatterning with our families to help them develop relationships within their own family network and system. Ideally, we want them out of our intensive services as quickly as reasonably possible and safely so that they can transition back to community and have a support system. So a lot of what we do is peer-to-peer. We have families together, and I think we find for anybody that has kids,
I think many of the times that you're in a car with your kids, it's some of your most meaningful conversations. There's not a lot of distractions, especially if you take the phones. And we find that even in a van setting like that, you have families that are sharing experiences with each other that probably wouldn't have otherwise. And I think there's a lot of stigma and shame with the families that we're serving and being in a setting like that we could create that's therapeutic. It's not just a transport. We're not just giving them a ride and putting in earbuds and then dropping them off. It really is trying to help people have the courage to walk through the door of whatever program they're going to or service they're receiving.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
How many trips a day do you see using the van?
That's a good question. I mean, I just think it would be.
That's what I was.
Could I show you my
phone?
Yeah. Yeah, as many as we could reasonably do. I mean, we have, our team is typically out on the field by 7 a.m. And, you know, if we can find staff and a team that would be out late at night, we would be running until probably 10 p.m. I just think we turn away families because we don't have enough capacity to either bring their whole family, bring them to a group program, and then we're stuck with sort of the difficult and unfortunate decision to weigh out which family do we bring. I mean, we were talking about that just in the waiting room. Which families do we bring to a group program? How do we sort of cut that off, find the right family?
I think I saw in your questions, your response that you received $4,500 since you sent in this application, right? Is that going towards the purchase of the van or is that towards something else?
It hasn't been allocated, you can speak to it.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't, we are constantly looking for funds, whether it's funds to help to take care of the van or to help families, because they always have a need for either just a tangible thing. Sometimes it's simple as a pack and play or food or whatever they need, and we're there to sort of help them plug in. And sometimes we try to help them plug into other community resources that might be available, but sometimes they're just not. And we just have to go out and say, okay, this family needs this now. And so whether that $4,500, if it doesn't get eaten up by something else, we can put it toward the van. But our goal would be if we can be allotted the full amount for the van, it would certainly help us to be able to spread our funds throughout.
So as a 501c3, do you know, Latoya, if they're eligible for co-stars?
I don't, but probably no.
You're registered elsewhere, right? In another state that.
In the District of Columbia.
Okay.
I think so. George thinks they can.
They're a foreign nonprofit. They're registered in DC.
Oh, I see.
We are in DC.
Yeah.
So it's like, because our lawyer was there when they were founded, so that's why we registered them.
I don't know about that.
I was just curious.
So-
No, because we would ask for other quotes for vans, I think, and we were gonna look for them and probably haven't had time at this point or something.
I'm sorry, can I?
He's asking about quotes for the vehicle that you're looking to purchase. Because there are some applicants that come before the board that, you know, may have certain requirements for making purchases, like bidding and, or getting multiple quotes and things like that. So those are typical questions that would be asked.
The co-stars is a program where it's like a lower rate on a vehicle.
That was the word I couldn't post there, so I was like, can I look that up? Can I find out?
So it's, thank you. You know, the Commonwealth puts out a procurement.
Okay.
And gets these vendors, and typically municipalities or public entities are able to take advantage of those because they've already been through a public process of bidding.
We've partnered with nonprofits before in the past to go through us to purchase a van through the co-stars program under our EIN.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
your
you so
time.
much.
It was informative, thank you.